So the teams will be kicking off day number 2 in the tennis stadium. And after one day of competition, they actually had 4 scored events yesterday.
They did, and there was real impressive on how these guys worked. And the most impressive team I could say out of the entire bunch is that Misfit group. We talked from the very beginning about business communication versus family communication. So far, business has been performing well with 3 first place and a second place, so they have been dominant so far.
And as we're looking at the lineup for this particular event, it's a lot of sticking together where we have synchronized movements all across the board.
That's right, and it's going to be interesting. Even though we see a lot of GHDs, a lot of ab work, there's a lot of legs that are involved in that. So there's a whole lot of leg in this with the GHD, the wall balls, and then those big box jump overs. Male, female, and pairs go at a time. It's a longer event, but there's going to be a lot of action involved.
And how it's going to set up is that we have 2, like you said, pairs, male and female, going at a time. They're going to run through the entirety of the event, starting with those synchronized GHD sit-ups, heavy wall ball shots,
right.
back to the GHD, and then those very high box jump overs. And being that synchro in the GHDs, not so difficult to do. You just kind of stick with the pace of your partner. But on the wall ball, so the 30 and 20-pound medicine ball for 100 reps, synchronized. That just sounds like a train wreck waiting to happen.
I totally agree with that. The pain is going to be incredible, but what's going to be important is you got to stick to your weakest person. You got to play to that person and make sure you have that communication.
Heat 1 of 2 is off for day number 2 as the teams will take the floor, starting off with 50 synchronized GHD sit-ups. And a lot of times we see synchronized movements, depending on what they pick. The height discrepancy often tends to be the biggest challenge when you mix up the pairs with men and women. For GHD, I don't really see that being the most challenging movement to do that on.
I don't think it'll be as challenging, but I think you definitely have to be aware of that if your female partner is much shorter. And if you look at the red characters right up at the top of your screen, 2 rows down, that's CrossFit Yaz. Those 2 athletes, there is a height discrepancy between those 2, and they are going to come up a little, the female athlete's going to come up a little faster just because of the shorter torso. But as long as they're aware of where each other is, that's not a big deal. This isn't about how fast can I get through the GHCs. It's how fast can we do that. So you'll see a lot of these teams looking back and forth to make sure that they are right on topic, right down at the bottom, the Aarhus CrossFit in the gray. You can see the male partner is watching the female partner just to make sure that they're being very synchronous. That's important on a synchronized team event like this.
Time cap for the entirety of the event is 24 minutes. That'll be the time it takes both pairs to navigate through the GHD sit-ups, wall balls, GHD again. And then the height of the box, I think people are maybe discrediting a little bit when you look at it on paper. Because I think and I mean by the wall ball shots tend to jump off the page a little bit more at you.
Oh, yeah.
100 of them at a heavy weight and synchronized. But a 42 and 36-inch box jump after 100 GHD sit-ups, I think people don't really understand how much that takes away from your explosiveness.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you did 100 wall ball shots prior to that.
And what is happening in that GHC? So everyone thinks GHC is midline. And yes, tomorrow they're going to be feeling the midline for sure. However, what happens is when you drop your knees down, you're using that thigh to really pop that torso up. So there's a lot of leg that's used in that. Then you get into 100 wall balls. Now, these athletes and these teams understand that it's a race. So they're not going to – I would – if I was their coach, I'd be like, hey, short sets, short rest is what you want to be looking for, whether it's sets of 10 or whatever. But I think that in this sort of a scenario, you're going to see a lot of these teams opting to go big sets out of the gate because they want to race. I think that they will. They know that it's not bad, but you can see like the team in the gray down on the bottom side, smart. I think that was a little long of a rest, so go shorter break or go shorter sets, so you're not having to take that long, but be very smart about that. And again, just like we said, that GHC that they have to return to is going to smoke their legs for that jump.
Teams moved into their 100 synchronized wall ball shots, and we've seen a lot of different strategies. On the far left side, you have CrossFit Eliath. It seems that they're going with that 10-rep strategy with a little break in between. Just to their right, you have Inner Fight CrossFit, Area CrossFit, and Aarhus CrossFit across the board from left to right of your screen as we are 3.5 minutes into the first portion of this event. We saw some big sets for your middle teams between Interfight and Area CrossFit.
And that what you usually see when teams do that is they go big sets of 30, sets of even a set of 40, something like that. But they end up doing sets 5 towards the end, and their legs are smoked. They have to remember that this is not the end of the event. They have to continue on through. In wall balls, they take about 2 seconds a rep or so. It's kind of hard to speed it up. The ball's not in your hands anymore, so you have to rely on what gravity and what your speed in the squat is going to do. But generally speaking, you're looking at about 2 seconds. So you could even technically do this like a Tabata setup. 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. And that's your set of 10, 10-second rest. Set of 10, 10-second rest.
And the other thing people need to realize is that it's 100 wall ball shots. Like, okay, that's no big deal. But it's a 30 and 20-pound ball. It's not just as like, okay, you bumped it up a little bit. It is a world changer.
Yeah,
when you
the
add
third
the
heavier
30-pound and 20-pound medicine ball into the equation. So it's not like, oh, I'll just do sets of 25. It's like doing 25 to 30 unbroken heavy wall ball shots is devastating.
Oh, yeah. It is very,
and
very
then to
painful.
say, okay, now do 75 more. Oh, by the way, you're only halfway through the event.
I guarantee you that by the time they get off these wall balls, they're going to get on the GHD, and the second 50 GHDs, it's not a stomach thing at this point. Their legs are going to be blown out, and that was going to, seeing how slow they go at that point is going to be really interesting.
I think if you've ever correctly done the execution of a GHD where it is driving the legs down or, opening the knee to launch the body up, is like the quad burn and fatigue.
It's so bad.
The leg fatigue you get from a GHD, I think, is often overlooked because everybody thinks core.
Well, yeah, because that's what hurts the next day. They forget what hurts during, which is the legs.
Just past the 5-minute mark at 5:30, and if you're doing your math for 100 wall ball shots, just getting 20 a minute is a pretty quick pace when you're doing 10-second breaks. So, a 5-minute 100 rep is a pretty quick pace, especially when you're thinking synchronized with your partner.
Yep, that's a great score. And again, you have to play to your weakest partner. And that's not a derogatory term saying weakest partner. What it means is just because I can do 20 unbroken doesn't mean that we should go 20 unbroken, because that's going to level my partner. And then what happens there is now they can't keep up, and then we're doing sets of 3, sets of 5.
Moving to the rig after 100 synchronized wall ball shots. Looks to be Interfight CrossFit. They'll be in the right side over in lane number 2. Teams will get 2 lanes apiece as we just have 4 per heat.
And something I want you guys to see with that team, Eliath in the red, the female athlete, we talked about the difference in height here. I'm sorry, CrossFit Yas there in the red. We talked about that length, that leverage length. Look at where the female is. The pad is basically under her knees, so she's trying to lengthen that torso so that they are at the same speed. The male athlete can only shorten it up so much. But I think that's a pretty interesting attack. That definitely makes it more on the stomach. It definitely takes its toll, and you can see that she looks a little fatigued when she took that breath. So they're dipping into that pain cave, and they really need to watch that. And
we're seeing a lot of breaks in the second half of these 50 GHD sit-ups. CrossFit Yas in the red in lane number 2 taking their second break. And everyone's got to the GHDs. Eliath up in lane number 2, far left side. Yas is in red. Team Tractor had a pretty strong performance at the end of last night's event when it was the rows, snatches, and double unders. Then Arhu Supreme in the gray on the right side of your screen. We're coming up to the 8-minute mark. Now we have 2 sets of pairs going, so this time cap of 24 minutes is still a combination of the 2. And so when you're thinking about speed of the event, it's like you kind of hope you put your fastest people together, because why waste a good person with a slow person? You want to put your faster group, and I would assume you would want to put them first as well.
Well, ideally they have some sort of what was going to be coming. I mean, you kind of want to know, all right, once we see what the event is, how are we going to play these? How are we going to play these out? Yes, you want to have your fastest duo up there, but you don't want your best and your best necessarily, because if you know that they can get through it, you still want to be able to have a good score in the end. You don't want to have these guys get through it in, 10 and a half minutes and then have the other team completely struggling. You want to be able to kind of manage that. And again, we have a lot of teams that have made it here. They aren't going to be like that bad. So I don't think that that's going to be an issue. But I think you want to put your best overall pair, on that front setup. But wow, look how much slower these teams are. Are you ready? Are you ready? I don't know. Are you ready? I don't want to go yet. Do you want to go?
To the boxes first is CrossFit Yaz. Yas in the lead, and now how these box jump overs work is that it will count when both are on the other side of the box. This is the only portion of the event that doesn't have to be specifically synchronized, though one cannot jump over without the other one completing. And we see our first miss.
And look at her grabbing legs. This is what we were talking about. This entire event, you think with the GHC that it's going to be all midline and stomach, and this is all quad burning. That's all it is, 100%.
25 box jump overs as a pair. Team Tractor in the fore part of your screen. Female athlete actually missed her first jump. She seems to have recovered a little bit coming off that GHD. And as we said before, you'd be very surprised how fatigued the legs get. Just saw the same thing happen for Aarhus Supreme.
Looks like she's setting up for a high jump. Look, you don't even see her on the screen right now. Getting ready to get as much momentum as possible.
Yas in the red have been your leaders since the completion of the 100 synchronized wall ball shots. They got through the GHDs first. Have yet to really slow down.
One thing I do see, even with CrossFit Yas in the red, I mean, all these teams are doing that. Finally, we get some hands up in the air. Is the athletes are moving far away from that box. I mean, they jump down and then they're taking 2 or 3 steps away. They don't need to take that many steps away. I get it. You're tired. You think you need to have a little bit of momentum, but none of these athletes are really stepping into it like a high jump. So they're not getting that momentum.
And it's Team Tractor actually in lane number 3 that has moved ahead of Yaz, and they are cutting it pretty close. You can see Yaz finishing up in the upper part of your screen in the red, just behind about 10 seconds. So we were at 11:30. So very close to that 12-minute cap split. So it's going to kind of be determined which pair they send out first or second, their faster pair or their slower pair. I think just to be on the safe side, since it doesn't really matter who goes first in terms of total time, unless someone is going to take up the most.
Right.
You definitely would want to put them later, so at least your fastest team gets through it first. Just past the 12-minute mark, a 24-minute capped event, 2 mixed pairs going at a time. We are in our second pairs for CrossFit Yas in the red. And then Team Tractor in the dark blue and light blue.
Wow, look at the tempo of Yas. Look how much faster they're going than Tractor. Almost a rep and a half faster than Team Tractor in the blue and the gray right in the middle of your screen.
Team Yas, it is Ahmed Eid and Carmen Bosmans. Carmen being the captain of CrossFit Yas. She's competed individually here at the Dubai CrossFit Championship, now going team.
Yeah, she's actually kind of like a mainstay, regional level athlete, Dubai competitions, whatever. I mean, the events that you see on this side of the world, she's usually involved in. So it's good to have someone with that much experience out on the floor leading that team. Plus, she's got incredibly strong legs. So this is a great event for her to be pushing and charging with.
So Yaz and Tractor moving to their 100 synchronized wall ball shots. 30 pounds and 20 pounds to a 10-foot target. And we've seen a lot of different movements, swimming in the ocean. We saw the Concept 2 bike and some sprinting when it comes to that, is that if you don't have familiarity with this,
right?
If you think you can just pick up a heavy wall ball shot and treat it as if any wall ball you've ever done, it ain't going to happen. It's not the same movement anymore.
Well, I think that's totally true. I think now, understanding where these competitive athletes are, they rarely touch a 20-pound ball. They're at the level now where they can do high rep, high volume, high speed events and workouts with that heavy ball, so that when they get to something like the Open's not going to program a 30-pound and a 20-pound ball. You're going to do the lighter one, so they're able to have that. But I think 30 pounds for these guys, they play with this all the time.
Now we see some struggling on Team Tractor on the right of CrossFit Yaz. Yaz is in the all red.
And again,
a couple no reps in there.
Well, and think about this. This is the classic movement to talk about who has an advantage and who has a disadvantage. If you're a tall athlete, and most tall CrossFitters, they get really happy when they see wall balls because all of a sudden that's their time to shine. They are able to have their hands on that ball longer, whereas a smaller athlete, you literally have to jump. So you can see the female athlete on the team is literally coming up off the floor. You can see her she's in the green leggings. They're in the middle of your screen. Her feet leave the ground trying to get that ball up to that target. And that is so much more difficult and sucks so much more energy out of your body and your legs than just someone who can put themselves in a squat and stand back up.
And that could be Rita Herrera, who's standing at a whopping 5'2". So throw a heavy
really
ball
there, Chase. She's
on
really
there.
Up there.
So still leading the field of 4 in heat number 1 of 2 for team event number 5. This is their only event of the day, as we are in day number 2 of the 2019 Dubai CrossFit Championship. It is CrossFit Yaz in the red and Team Tractor to their right in the blue. Yaz still looks like they have that nice rep scheme. They haven't had many no reps, but Tractor is struggling to kind of find some consistency and rhythm, as Eliath to the far left has just gotten to the rig to start their 100 wall ball shots. And you see in the fore part of your screen, Arhu Supreme is trying to make up for lost time. They are flying through these 50 GHDs. They are well behind the pace set by Yaz and Tractor. Coming up to the 17-minute mark, 7 minutes remaining, as we are waiting to see which pair is going to get to the GHD first for the second time. As that'll be Yaz and Tractor in your middle lanes. And well behind your top 3 teams, Eliath got to the rig late. They're all the way in the top right part of your screen. But it is Arhu Supreme in the gray, still on their first set of 50 synchronized GHD sit-ups.
So I'll tell you what, man, with CrossFit Yas, this duo, I don't want to say similar height, but similar ability on that wall ball. Carmen Bosman is not having an issue moving that ball around, which is great. They were doing big chunks in the beginning, and now look how small the sets have gone down to, sets of 5. That's where you have to be very careful. You want to push the limit, but again, this is just the middle of the event. We still have a lot more leg work to do with the GHCs that are going to be coming up. We saw what that did, how much damage that did going into the box jump, and then that's what happened to Arhu Supreme. their legs were so blown, but by the time they got to the box, they were shot. That was it. So I think that it's smart, short sets, short rests, rather than big sets, long rest.
Hand in the air for CrossFit Yaz. Less than 5 reps remaining. And they are moving to the GHD for the last time in this event. 50 more synchronized GHDs as CrossFit Yaz anchoring with Carmen Bosmans and Ahmed Eid. Team Tractor just to the right of your screen. Struggling, and it was just a rhythm thing. And like I said, it's like, I don't know if they've used it. I don't know if they've used it, but not to 10 feet. Because there's a lot of times that, the women will traditionally go to the 9-foot line just because that's what they've done in the open.
Hey, guess what? This is a games qualification. You should never be touching the 9-foot mark.
Here's the other thing. There shouldn't be a 9-foot mark to begin with.
No.
5'6" is 5'6".
That's right.
You already get a lighter ball.
That's right.
Get that ball up to a 10-foot target.
My goodness, Chase, you're a meanie.
I love to see that. I love to see the bounce across the board.
No, that's totally true. And it's the same thing. There are going to be elements that you are going to have, just your anatomy is going to give you a disadvantage, and somewhere it's going to give you an advantage. Because guess what? If we had burpees or thrusters, she would be a champ. But wall balls, that's the tough part. So the fact of the matter is that you have to play to that. They don't have an option but to play to her skills and abilities right now. And that's okay. I mean, if this is going to be the rough part for her, that's all right. But they have to be smart about how they're going to do it. Small sets, small rests. That's the best way for them to go.
Now we're at the 20-minute mark. And we're getting some splits in that CrossFit Yaz. They were done. Their first pair was done at right around 11:20, 11:30.
Yep.
And we just got word that Yaz is about 45 seconds behind their pace. So in terms of time left, they're flirting with that time cap, right? If you're talking about probably 15 seconds off pace to just finish at the 24-minute mark. Team Tractor finally done with their 100 wall ball shots. I bet they're breathing a sigh of relief to get back to that GHD. What's nice to see is every time they sit up and touch the pads, those big boxes are looming in the background. 42 and 36 inches respectively for the men and the women as we are coming at that 21-minute mark. So 3 minutes remaining, and that is not a lot of time left when you think about the amount of GHDs that they have left and the 25 absurdly high. Actually, I'm going to say enjoyably high.
Enjoyably high.
Enjoyably high box jump overs.
I just want to make sure that we get the first box jump by whatever team comes off. So if it's Yaz, make sure we get this because this is going to show the leg blast.
And Yaz is done with their 50 synchronized GHD sit-ups, and all that stands between them and a finish is the 25 box jump overs.
And you can see with Carmen Bosman, she had to shake her legs out. That was the first one, and this is usually how it goes. When your legs are blown and you have box jumps, it's the first one that you kind of get that, oh crap, that hurt. All right, I'm all right. Now let's get into it, and then you can kind of get going. But that first one is the scariest, and thank goodness that they have the padded boxes nowadays, and go blowing your shins on these.
As you said that, Bosman's missed the box, and had it been a wooden box, that would have been a bit of a disastrous effort. We have 2 minutes remaining, and they only have about 6 reps completed. And the challenging here thing, too, is like, yes, your legs are blowing up from the GHDs, wall balls, and GHDs. It's one of those kind of parabolic effects. Like, it gets bad, you recover and get better, and then you get tired and it gets bad again.
And it gets really bad quickly. You don't have the recovery time or that refractory time of trying to, like, hang on to that pace. It just doesn't work. But you can see what Carmen's doing. She's trying to do, literally using her arms to throw her body up there. But if you look at where her head goes, she's not getting that much height. Basically the jump is gone, and she's pulling her feet up to try to make it up on top of that box rather than jumping it with a vertical leap.
The thing for Bosman, though, is like she's only 5'4". That is a tall order.
Box. That's a tall box.
With just 1 minute remaining, Tractor has moved up to the box jump overs. Failed their first one. We've seen that pretty often so far in this first heat. Less than 60 seconds, and I don't know if there's enough time for Yaz to get done. Eliath in the middle part of your screen. They're on to their second set of GHDs, where Arhu Supreme still on their wall ball shots. Coming up to 30 seconds remaining. I'm not sure if the judge flashed to 5 reps left to go, hand in the air, but they're going to be cutting it close. I think it is close. 15 seconds to go. Yas is your heat leader.
Oh, here we go.
And one more rep. I would normally say a sprint to the finish, but they got across the line regardless. And CrossFit Yas will sneak just underneath that 24-minute time cap. Unofficial time, 23:57 for CrossFit Yas. And no other team was really close to getting it up in there. So one more heat to go. And I think the benefit, and we always say there's always kind of a benefit to going second, just seeing how this plays out, you start to really dial in your rep schemes for the GHDs and the wall ball shots after that first event goes.
Well, hey, guess what? Break it up early. Break it up small so you have those short rests, because that's what's going to carry you through. It's those box jumps that are smashing people. I'll take that back. It's the second half of the GHDs going in that box jumps, because then everyone's Bambi leg after that. So, but that was a great job by that team. Great job. I'm glad that we saw someone finish and what it looked like.
Yas will take heat number 1 with an unofficial time of 23:57. We have one more heat to go. This is the only action that we'll see for day number 2 today for the teams, as heat 1 is making their way off the floor, and heat 2 will be joining us shortly. Heat 1 is done. Heat 2 coming up next. I think we started to figure out where the crux of the workout is. We knew the wall balls would be hard to do to stay together, but I think some people forgot it was a heavy wall ball shot. This isn't 20 and 14.
I think that they forgot that this was not all legs. They saw the wall balls are okay. GHC, they're thinking stomach. But guess what? It is legs, 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 and then more legs, and end up with the legs. So if they don't know that, that's what they're going to have to do. But this next setup with this next heat, we have some heavy hitters, so I think that we're going to see, I obviously think we're going to see some faster times. And guess what? Misfit with 3 first place, I think that they, in a second place, I kind of want to pick them. They're going to go for broke.
Your overall standings after one day of competition and 5 scored events. Misfit Pro is sitting on top of the leaderboard over your next closest teams. Now, your top 3 teams we thought would do well coming in, just looking at rosters, looking at past games experience. And it was actually Misfit Pro. They have about a 15-point lead over Team Prepared. But Misfit Pro, they walked away with 3 first-place finishes of the 4 scored events.
Yeah.
Oh, and their bad event was a second-place finish. They're looking
really
really good after one day of competition, but anything can happen because we had a lot of unique events yesterday.
Right.
A single strength test, a swim test solo, some worm work, and now you get more into that nitty-gritty competition floor stuff where you start to see some of that cohesiveness come together, synchronized on the GHDs, heavy wall ball shots, staying together in mixed pairs.
Well, and the fact that they could hang with some really unique things, not your quote-unquote classic kind of CrossFit setups, that is... The rest of the field needs to be very nervous about that. They handled well in the swim. They handled well in the gymnastics setup. They handled well on the run. Now we're getting to some ugly CrossFit stuff. So if they were first, and second, I'm expecting to see a couple more first place in there as well.
The thing I really like about this event in particular is that every single movement everyone has done before, but it's all added just a little bit extra. It's a little bit higher box than people are used to. It's a lot more volume of GHDs people are used to, a heavier ball, and forcing everyone to be synchronized as well. So everything's a little bit out of your reach. Heat number 2 underway. Event number 5, the only event for day number 2 of competition. Here at the 2019 Dubai CrossFit Championships. And we got cake. You see Danny Spiegel and Cody Moody leading out for their team. Travis Williams, your current leader is Misfit Pro. Team Prepared. So that's a pretty good pairing between Phil and Mia Hesketh.
Team Hesketh.
I say that's dangerous, though. It can go both ways.
Why are you going so slow? And then that carries on to domestic home stuff.
Synchronized work with your significant other.
Doesn't always work out the best, but that's okay.
I mean, I can't even play a board game with my wife without getting in a fight. Event number 5 for the teams. We have a 24-minute capped event. They're working in mixed pairs. 50 synchronized GHD sit-ups, moving into those heavy synchronized wall ball shots. Back to the GHDs, and then those box jump overs. And I think a lot of this is you can pace, but there's not a lot of time in that. If you're going to pace, you cannot deviate from that plan.
And I think that's always a plan. If you pace, you're stuck with that pace, because once you're off that, you've already gone too slow. So there is a risk involved with that. That's something that I think that you need to understand what your limits are. So the way you train that is you have to be able to train till the wheels come off, so you know your limits, and then at that point you can kind of vary what that amount is going to be.
And just as we've seen all weekend long, as Williams and Williamson are taking it out strong. As you know, they didn't pace out those GHDs whatsoever. We got cake up into the mix as well, and that'll be very interesting to see is the strategy that Misfits takes versus We Got Cake.
Well, we already here we are talking about pace. We talk about Travis, who doesn't pace anything ever. He rides that line. So for him, is he going fast enough to where he doesn't blow up and completely explode on the box jumps? Is he able to hang on to that? And that's what's always interesting with him is it's a roll of the dice. It's always super, super close and super tight of what he's able to do.
All teams on to the 100 heavy wall ball shots. Danny Spiegel, Cody Mooney for We Got Cake. They're the first pairs to go out. We only had one team finish in the previous heat, and that was CrossFit Yaz. And they snuck right underneath that 24-minute time cap at 23:57. And your top 3 teams in this heat, we had 4 scored events yesterday. They'll reseed at the end of every day to see Taylor Williamson and Travis Williams for Misfits. Mia Hesketh and Phil Hesketh. In the first heat, the pace time for CrossFit Yaz was 6:15. Currently sitting at about 3:40. See the time located on the left part of your screen. We still have plenty of time. Like we said, you'll probably see some of your fastest splits on the wall balls take somewhere around, I would say 4 to 5 minutes at the fastest, but more realistically, probably more that 5-minute split for 100 heavy wall ball shots, just because of the synchronized part and just the weight of the ball. That's a big volume to put in the middle of an event. We got 3 teams look like they all want to be synchronized together. Still your leaders, Travis Williams and Taylor Williamson. Coming up to the 5-minute mark. Hand in the air for Misfit Performance. Just 5 reps left to go. We said the time split for CrossFit Yaz was 6:15. They are nearly 1 minute ahead of the pace set by CrossFit Yaz as Misfit Performance moves to their second set of synchronized GHD sit-ups. And as we move into the second portion of the event here for heat number 2, you know, me and Bill have kind of been speculating the crux of this event all we want. How about we talk to the man who designed this workout himself? Rich Froning is joining us. And Rich, we're kind of going back and forth. You know, our idea was that this isn't an unfamiliar movement pattern rep scheme, but everything was just a little bit extra.
Yeah, compounds on each other. That's kind of the point of this. And then it all culminates in this second set of GHDs and these box jump overs. The box jump overs are... they're fun. They're real fun. You know, we had a little bit of miscommunication here. It was actually supposed to be a 20-pound wall ball and a 14.
How dare you? How dare you?
You know, and so it was to a 10-foot target. So the guys here on the fly made a great change, I think, and kept it because all they had is 30s and 20s, and took it to a 9-foot target. So it is a little bit different.
Okay.
You know, we've never really done a 9-foot target. The males have it. And so, you know, hey, unknown and unknowable, and got to be ready for anything. So I think, you know.
Well, let me ask you this: if you were going to hit this with those numbers,
yeah,
how would you have your team set up as you go into that set of 100? Like, how would you break that up?
Yeah, I think it's depending on who you're with, or you know, what's each person's strengths and weaknesses. You know, obviously some people are a little bit better at wall balls. You know, Tasia despises wall balls. She's good at them, but she despises them. So you really, whoever feels, I guess, a little bit more nervous about how the wall balls are going to go, you let that person kind of dictate the pace. You know, so when we did this, me and Tasia tested this with a 20 and 14 to 10 feet. I think we went 40, 35, and 25 was our sets. And so, you know, she kind of, I'm more of a, if I was going to break it up, go 3 sets, or 2 sets probably on this. But she wanted to do a 3 set, and so we kind of do a descending. You know, it's easier to wrap your brain around something.
Right.
If you're gonna do it in 100 reps, you gotta have a little bit of game plan going into it. These box jump overs are devastating.
Oh my God!
I just saw the old. We're about to never mind.
We're gonna pull back.
The good news is the soft boxes. So when we tested this, it was with jerk blocks. So we take jerk blocks and put them together. So there's no
and shin guards, right?
No shin guards. Just roll those old knee sleeves over the shins. Still hurts pretty good. Good little sting.
Travis Williams and Taylor Williamson
crushing it.
You know, I would say if someone came up to me and was like, hey, would you like to partner with Travis Williams? Like, absolutely not. I don't want to go out that fast.
I wouldn't either. Yeah, I don't like, everybody's like, why are you so good at pacing? I'm like, because I don't like to hurt. I don't want to hurt. So I find that line that's like, hey, I'm uncomfortable. And how long can we ride this line? Travis is like, hey, I want to hurt really bad, so let's get there as fast as we can. So
the problem there is I was like, this is pacing?
Yeah. I admire it, you know, like sometimes you wish you could go back to those days when you first started CrossFit, when you didn't know how bad things hurt, you know? Because now that you've done it for so long, you know what hurts and how bad it hurts, and you know how to pace.
It is really interesting how in the old days of CrossFit, the old days of competition even, it was 3, 2, 1, and
go.
it was all
go.
out go.
Yep.
So you didn't know anything else. That's where Puke the Clown came from.
Yep.
You know, it's how many times are you going to throw up in the bucket, and that's why. Now it's like, you never want to get that far into the bucket.
And we all talk pace, we talk pace, but you know, there's sometimes you got to go to that space, but you can't, you know, like if you've been there, you're like, man, there's days where you don't want to go to that place. And so, like I said, I admire that, you know. He's not afraid to go and push and see how far he can hang on.
When you set up the height of the box, 42-36, why not 30 and 24? Why not 32 and 28? Like, why that height?
I wanted it.
Were you going game
I want you to second guess if you're ready to jump.
Yeah, we saw that.
You know?
I saw that a couple times.
You want that. You want that a little bit of, you know, you have that when you're lifting weights, like, you know, a 1-rep max clean or something like that. You have that fear of like, hey, I might not get this. You want that on this a little bit. You know, you're a soft box. It is what it is, so.
Hands in the air for Misfit Performance. Just one more rep to go, and they'll be done right about the 10-minute mark. The time split for Yaz was 11:15, so they're extending that lead pace. And I tell you what, it's not a bad partner to pass off to. as you got Roy Gamboa
right here.
and Andrea Neisler to come in, but at the same time, Alex Smith and Jessica Griffith. So it looked like Williamson was struggling a little bit for Misfit Performance in terms of her box jump pace, and that was enough to open the door back up to We Got Cake with Cody Mooney and Danny Spiegel.
It actually looked like, to me, to be honest, that Taylor started out a little bit slow, but then kind of came on, where Travis was started out hot and he kind of fell off just
the old
touch.
cross paths.
Now, we talked a little bit about how to adjust your
GHD.
torso setup on the GHD, and we see people hanging off a little bit further. Alex Smith is doing. I'm surprised no one's run out there yet
that's a little
myself,
questionable.
because that's sitting on top. That the butt is supposed to be just off, but what that does do is it shortens up that lever,
Right.
makes those GHDs a lot easier. So if you've done that, you're gonna be able to go a lot faster. I'm not gonna say it's real comfortable on your back.
I go
but-
more. My feet are almost completely straight. I am a little bit more forward, but my legs are completely extended. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I guess. I
mean,
don't know.
some of that
I've never
might
seen
be
it.
to what we were talking about, is that the leg fatigue from
Yeah.
the GHDs.
Oh, yeah.
When you sit up that close and you
saving
never
your
really
legs.
get to use them, maybe it's just
Maybe,
isolating
or
the core only.
Who knows? It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
Top two teams in your middle lanes, Roy Gamboa and Andrea Neisler. They're in the red and gray. They're out of Misfit Performance. Just to the right, We Got Cake. They're your top two. Joining them in the upper left part of your screen is Team Finland. And we have yet to see Prepared, who
I
had
thought Prepared would push them pretty good on this one. That's your top three, right?
top three coming in. And they're actually still
Still on those box jumps.
struggling on those box jumps.
Yeah, that 30-pound wall ball, 20-pound wall ball for the girls. It adds. It's a big
things
big
up,
difference.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, the 9 foot. Honestly, I don't even know how that feels with 9 feet. So I feel a little off here, but you know.
Be the first person to go out there like, this is too low. Can we
Yeah,
raise it
right,
higher?
right.
I don't know how to adapt to this. So a 9-foot target for both the men and the women, but a heavier ball.
Yep.
Roy Gamboa and Andrea Neisler, they're in the forward part of your screen with Alex Smith and Jessica Griffith.
Good little push here.
Nah, that's what I like about this is now that we have these two teams that have been battling, the fact that they are literally, I mean, what are they, 3 reps off of each other right now?
If
So
that.
that's going to put them into
Yep.
a seriously painful
It's gonna hurt
position
worse, yep.
because now you have to race.
Yep.
I can't just, I'm going to go my pace and stay in my lane.
Yeah,
and, no,
yeah,
I
yeah.
know that you're going to win, so I don't want to see your team go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, it makes it a completely different workout. You know, if you're so far ahead that you don't have to push, you know, you're still going to push, but if
But-
you're out, and, you know, out by yourself, it's a little bit easier to, hey, let's take an extra rest here. There's no way to do that now. So
But the deviant in me would love to see them have to race each other on high box jump overs.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes here in about maybe 6 minutes, 5 minutes. So yeah, we actually, you know, we were talking right before this. We were like, should we change the time cap? Should we bump it up from 24? But I think we made the right decision to keep it at 24. It's still, you know, the top teams will finish it. It's like we saw yesterday in the lunge one. You know, this is the CrossFit Games. We're going to the CrossFit Games. That's what you want.
Approach the 14-minute mark. That'll leave us 10 minutes remaining of this 24-minute capped event. The time to beat set by CrossFit Yaz in heat number 1 was 23:57 unofficially. So
Right under there.
3
Squeaked in.
seconds underneath that.
I think you'll see these two teams right here finish well under that cap, though.
We saw them finish the first pairing. They're about 1:15 to 1:30 faster than that pace. The pace set by Yaz was 18:15. I think we're going to be well underneath that time frame with this second pairing. For both teams, between Misfit Performance and We Got Cake, those are your middle 2 lanes. Performance is on the left in the blue and gray. That's Roy Gamboa and Andrea Neisler. To their right, Alex Smith and Jessica Griffith.
Man, a 30-pound wall ball versus a 20-pound wall ball to 10. I'm speaking to 10 feet. You just feel like you have to push so much harder, and that just like it's like a max effort jump. So then to go to a box jump over after that, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
How as far as your training and what you do with your team, how often do you guys use a 30 to 15 versus a 20 to 15 versus a 30 and 20?
Honestly, we usually use the higher box jumps. That's what we've seen a lot more at the games. I almost like to use the higher box jump to do less rebounding. just so you don't risk that chance of blowing out an Achilles or something like that. We do so
That's
much.
a master's thing, of course. I appreciate that. I agree with that as well.
Right?
I agree with that.
So, we do a lot more higher stuff. We've been doing a lot of like burpee box get-overs is what we call them, to like 48 inches.
Okay, with the hands
And so it's, but you can use your hands to get over the box, and it just adds a new dynamic, push right into the same thing. But yeah, we do a lot of higher 42, 36-inch box jumps.
What about wall balls? Do you guys ever touch the 20 and the 15 anymore or no?
Yeah, actually quite a bit. It's just a completely different stimulus. Sometimes heavier isn't better, like lighter stuff hurts worse always.
Wait,
always.
hold on. I want the world to hear this right now. Let's Rich Froney just said you don't always have to go heavier.
It's variance, man.
To get that.
I think a lot of people,
want everyone to hear that.
We miss out on variance quite a bit. People think that, hey, it's got to be heavier, but here's the deal: is when it's heavier, you got to slow down a little bit, and it's more comfortable.
Drops the intensity.
Always.
Right?
Well, what's funny is I just had this conversation online with Adrian Conway. There was a CrossFit posted one of their workout of the day was a 10-minute AMRAP with clean and jerks and front squats at 95 and 65.
Awful. Sounds miserable.
It's like, that sounds so bad.
You know what the worst barbell is on the planet? It's 115.
Yeah.
115 is the worst barbell ever, because you can move it. It's whether you want to move it. It makes it so much worse. 115 is the most disgusting bar there is. I hate yellow plates. I don't use them just because of that,
Hand of the air for Misfit Performance, and they are 2 minutes ahead of the pace set by CrossFit Yaz in heat number 1.
Crushing it, man. We got to push.
And right on their heels, we got Cake. They have about a 3 to 4 rep lead. Now, they blew through those first 50, but it's been a different story on that second 50.
Set, yep. Yeah, that second set hurts. I mean, we did this at the games. You had a 50, and then when we came back, I looked at that workout, and it was 50s all the way down, and it came back to 30s. And you're like, why are we doing 30s? And then we got in the middle of the workout. I was like, okay, I'm glad we're only doing 30 reps, because I feel like I'm going to die. So, well, they're doing 50. They're not doing 30, so.
And we've established that this is going to be the race to determine the event winner, as they are 2 minutes ahead of the pace set by CrossFit Yaz. We have Misfit Performance on the left. We got Cake on the right.
I think you're going to get your wish here, too. I think we're going to see that race on the box jump overs.
I'm not wishing ill will.
Yeah,
I just am wishing
that's ill will, bro.
Just a little entertainment here at the end.
Yeah, definitely some That's the worst, too, like how sick are we that we want to watch people hurt worse, Like they're already hurting. But we want to see them have to push a little bit harder and hurt a little bit more.
Roy Gamboa and Andrea Neisler, the anchor leg of the male and female pair for Misfit Performance. They're trying to hold off Alex Smith and Jessica Griffith just to their right. I think when you look at towards the end and the strength of these athletes, I would be a little bit more worried of Alec and Jessica Griffith in terms of that box jump over. It's like, I remember Alex Smith finishing the sprint at the games, and Jessica Griffith nearly jumped over him to celebrate. That girl can spring into the air.
They got some hops.
Yeah, we did some high box jumps at the games. I'm not sure where each of these teams finished in those events. I do remember OC3 being really close to us, so the girls are good at the high box jump. So we'll see here. Roy's explosive, but here's that push you were talking about here.
We got Cake has moved ahead, and with zero hesitation.
There we go.
We got Cake, 2 rep lead on Misfit Performance, but they are wasting no time back and forth. And I'm not going to say that might be a product of the setup of how they used their GHDs to save the legs a little bit, but it seems to be paying off whatever it is that they did.
Looks like it worked out.
Or they could just be fitter. I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
We're talking about how high these box jump overs, and you've got to be ready for them, but there's something about them that's devastating to cardiovascular system. You can't breathe. You feel like you're going to die. And so it's just there's no blood pumping through the whole body, and they're hard.
I feel like it's that weird happenstance when you go from a regular burpee to a burpee over the bar.
Yeah.
That extra little jump changes everything.
Yeah, Roy Gamboa. Look at the hops it is. Look
Hopping
at the top of the screen. He bounds on it and bounds right off of it.
Athlete. We got Cake in the bottom part of your screen in the all red, led by Jessica Griffith and Alex Smith, trying to hold off Andrea Neisler and Roy Gamboa of Misfit Performance.
I think they're pulling ahead just a touch here. A little bit faster. Ooh!
Ooh.
Maybe not, as I spoke. Sorry there, Alec.
this person hasn't missed 30 straight field goals.
There it is.
Goalpost.
Yep.
20 minutes in, 4 minutes remaining. The time to beat set by CrossFit Yaz in heat number 1 at 23:57. We only have 2 heats in this event, so if they can stay underneath that time, and 5 reps remaining for We Got Cake.
4.
We Got Cake's pace hasn't slowed a bit. They were sitting in 3rd coming into this event. But with 100 points, that is what they needed going into the 3rd day of competition.
Wow.
We Got Cake takes event number 5.
Crushed it.
Man, I just tell you, they were just clicking. They didn't look like they were rushing.
Nope.
And they were on that back half of that event, just had that tempo just perfect
Just
to
enough.
be able to get that and keep that tempo all the way through. Wow, that was
Pacing.
incredible pacing.
There it is.
Incredible pacing.
There's that word.
Misfit performance is done, well underneath the time to beat in the previous heat. They'll take 2nd overall. And we haven't talked about Prepared or Finland very much just because of the domination of these 2 teams. But to talk back to Alex Smith and Jessica Griffith, we didn't see any pair in any heat move as effortless. I wouldn't say effortless. I know they were working hard, but made it look so easy at the end.
Yeah. I mean, other than that little bobble, and I don't think that was a bobble because his legs weren't working. I think that was just he just kind of caught his toe, because every single jump they did, it was just explosive
Right
and
there.
boom, up and off. And a quick turnaround, too. A lot of the other teams in the last team, we saw them come off the box, long steps out, turning around, having to come on back in. These guys stay pretty tight to that box as well.
2 teams left on the floor between Team Finland and Team Prepared. Team Prepared
Needs to do some work here.
Yeah, they're sitting in 2nd, a little bit behind Misfit, so they're going to lose some ground there. We Got Cake with those 100 points is going to bump up. And the big thing, too, on the leaderboard in terms of the point scale, since there's so few teams in the mix, the point differential is a lot greater between when it's only 8 versus someone like 30.
Yeah, so they need to be in the top 3 definitely if they can get there.
And we've kind of seen this between Prepared is that they've got a 1st and a 2nd, but then had that 4th or 5th place finish in the other event. So they're kind of doing this little roller coaster between events.
Yeah, you gotta with as tight as these top 2 teams are for sure. You gotta stay in those top 3 events or top 3 teams every event.
It looks like Finland on the left side has moved ahead of Prepared. Their judge has his hand in the air, designating 5 or less reps to go, and this could be the last rep for Finland.
They're going to finish too. So yeah, the more teams, you had a couple teams with Yaz finish earlier. So Prepared needs to do some work here and make sure that they don't give away too many points because, well, and We Got Cake, if they can get that, then they it's going to help them a lot.
Yaz's time in the previous heat was 23:57. As Team Prepared,
no hand in there yet, so it's going to be close.
They're anchored by Alexander Ellebro and Amelia Lempinen, and Alexander threw up a 140-kilo snatch yesterday in 5 minutes.
That'll do it. Yeah, so they got probably 4th overall in that event. We Got Cake got 1st, so a little bit of points. I'm not sure what the total spread was at that point, but
yeah, Misfits. I mean, they got a 15,
Misfits
15
gonna be fine.
point, so they're fine.
They're gonna be fine. They got a 2nd.
Now we did see is that'll
points.
probably compress your top 3 a little bit more.
Right.
Prepared and We Got Cake might flip.
Yep.
We still have 2 days of competition and a lot
of events.
Not
even halfway there, boys.
And a lot of painful events.
One really painful
Left to come.
that pops into my head. So
I think the thing for a lot of these team events that which you program is that looking at them on paper, it looks like not only do you have to be fit, you got to have good communication and team chemistry, but there's a lot of want to out there. You're going to have to want to win some of these events because it just looks so painful. I'm still looking at that bike and worm squat.
Worm squat. That's the one that like we were talking about last night. There's workouts that scare you because you have to go fast. Maybe this type of workout. The workout tomorrow with the Echo bike and the squats is going to hurt you. So that's the scary part of that one.
A lot of those is I feel like you might get the most DMs in your Instagram.
Yeah, might get a couple angry
after that one.
So that's how you up the social media. I get it. Blow everybody's legs out. I got it.
Make everybody angry.
So We Got Cake takes event number 5, besting your top teams in this event. They're down with Nikki Brazier.
Well, guys, we saw such a difference between when you went out, hit the wall balls, and then came back and approached those boxes again. I mean, talk about kind of going through it and then coming back so fatigued. What was it like to hit those movements again the second time?
That was kind of the strategy, seeing them go first. He said, we've got to make sure coming back is stronger than going out. So he kind of took it by the reins at the wall balls and was like, we're doing set to 10, set to 7, set to 6. And doing those short reps kind of saved us to then come back to the GHDs and then crush the box jumps at the end, which was clutch.
It was awesome to watch. Now, you guys look like you have the most fun out of any of the teams, and I know you guys are really close in real life as well. I mean, how does that help or affect your team mentality?
Team camaraderie is, I think, is one of the keys, having experience on team, and it definitely just being like I can kind of read his mind at the wall balls, and it definitely having that friendship and the closeness is a huge piece to the team puzzle.
Nice. Yeah. Well, great job so far, guys. Congrats.
Thank you. So We Got Cake. We Got Cake takes first in event number 5. That is it for the teams in terms of day number 2. You know, Bill, looking at that performance, how does that kind of set up going into the rest of the weekend for the We Got Cake?
Well, okay, we've seen legs and legs. We Got Cake seems to do really well, and if it's a leg
have
event,
you seen their legs?
they got some legs. They got some cake, if you will.
There you go.
So I think that if there's another event like that, which I don't know, Rich keeps talking about, so I think that they're in a good position. Misfit, we know what they do, and if there's something evil out there, they're going to go big. Cake is right on. They're on the chase.
And Rich, I'll leave it to you. Is that you know what's coming? You've tested the events that are coming in the next 2 days. Coming off of what they've done in the first 2 days, how have you sculpted that for the teams coming up?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of similar. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of communication. It's a lot of fitness. So, We Got Cake built up some momentum here, and hopefully they can hang on to that. Misfit's going to do just fine all weekend. Like we said, it's going to be these top 3 teams and how much you can mix it up between those 3 and where you can make up points and where you can not lose too many points. So that's going to be the hard part throughout the weekend.
And like I said, we have the weekend left to come. We still have 2 more days of competition for the teams, but that will do it for team competition for day number 2. We Got Cake takes first, Misfits in second, and I believe it was Team Finland rounding out your top 3 for event number 5. Rich, thank you again for coming on
having
set.
me, boys.
Appreciate it.
We'll see maybe a time
We'll be
or two
touching
this
back with
weekend.
him all week and how the team competition is going to go, but the individual competition is coming up next, and we're going to move some heavy barbells.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. For Bill Grumner, Rich Froning, Nikki Brazier, I'm Chase Ingram. Individual competition is coming up next for the 2019 Dubai CrossFit Championship.
We've been innovating the barbell since 2008, and we'll still be innovating in 2028.
Team competition is done. Individual action is coming up next. I'm chasing with Bill Grundler. Nikki Brazier will be joining us in a few. As we saw the team competition unfold, just one event for today. They had 4 scored events yesterday. The individuals, however, had 3, and we had 2 different stages ago. We were started on the beach, moved to the track, and now we are back in the tennis stadium. And we'll start off with the women and your current standings after 3 scored events. Oh, it's Sam Briggs.
Oh, wait, who?
Samantha Briggs is sitting on top the leaderboard with 285 points, a 35-point lead over 2 new names, if you
will.
At least to the Dubai CrossFit Championship. Emily Rolfe sitting in second, Julie Hugard sitting in third. Now, we'll talk Julie. She had some good performances yesterday and some strategic performances yesterday.
And I think that if you don't have a if you aren't one of the big names in CrossFit, you got to play to your strengths. And she obviously is a strategist. Second place in the swim, 22nd place in the overall time of the bike and the run, but a first place in the slowest bike time. So what she did is one of the things we talked about yesterday was using the strategy of I'm going to rest on the run, but I'm going to hammer the bike, and that's what she did. So even though she has that big disparity between her first and second and her 22nd, she's still sitting in that third place position.
Now, one who was more consistent was Emily Rolfe sitting in second, about that third place, fourth place, sixth place.
You know, I was impressed with Rolfe. I mean, we were talking about her early in the swim. I thought that was a big deal, the fact that she had that third place position. But then what I loved was there wasn't a need for a strategy on that second part. She went hard on the bike and hard on the run and got a fourth place and a sixth place. So it's kind of like what what Jason Smith looked like. I don't really know. I've never been on a bike before, so I'm just going to go for it, and doing very well in both of those events. So that's a great position for her to be in that second place position behind Samantha Briggs. I mean, if you're going to follow somebody, follow Samantha Briggs.
Well, let's talk about Samantha Briggs. She's coming into this not 100%. She injured her foot in the open, and she still managed to sit 35 points ahead of everybody else on the leaderboard. Now, here's the big change that's about to happen. We had a swim event. We had a endurance work capacity event on the track with the bikes and the run. And now we are moving to a singular event with a 1-rep max clean and jerk. And what I think is going to happen is this leaderboard is about to flip.
Yeah, and it's been very interesting. So far we've looked at very single, I'll throw it out there, specialty type of events. Whether you need to be able to swim, you got to have that skill, or you have to have an endurance skill or a power output skill. And now here we are with the strength skill. We know Samantha Briggs is not the strongest in the field. She knows she's not the strongest in the field. So she needs to be able to have a damage control setup here. But we have already seen if you have someone like Julia Hugard with a second, 22nd, and a first sitting in third, Samantha's got that cushion that I think she's going to be okay. She just has to have a decent lift, and she'll do just fine.
And that's your top 3 after day 1 of competition. Now let's take some notables coming out as we look at the expanse of the entirety of the leaderboard. What are you looking to change, at least maybe after tonight, but at least over the next 2 days after this?
Well, we're missing some names in that top part. Where is Sara Sigmundsdóttir? Where is Gabby Magalia? Where is Alessandra Pacelli? We have some of those names that, guess what? They're right behind in that top 3, right behind the top 3, and this is where we want our heavy hitters, our big lifters, and we're going to get some big weights coming into this. So I think that we are going to see a shift going into tomorrow, but then again, once we get into the next 2 days, it's classic, quote-unquote, CrossFit events where it's not a one-type thing. It's not a one movement or a specialty skill or whatever. It's CrossFit, and now we're going to see who our CrossFit champions are.
Well, also, it's not going to be a one-event type of day.
No.
They had 3 scored events. Really, it was 2. One event had 2 different scores within that. One event today, but once we get into the rest of the weekend, here it'll be Friday and Saturday, we have a lot of events coming up. And anything's going to happen. He's got a lot of points on the board, but now athletes are not just going to be exposed by their skill set, right? Swimming, D-ball cleans, that's a pretty niche style event. Running on a track and a Comset 2 bike, that's another specialty style.
Right.
Heavy lift tonight, in that same category. And what that kind of does is it tests 3 different modalities in a little bit of a retrospect at the same time. And now once you start putting those together in events, we're going to see who really has strengths across the board.
Well, hey, guess what? CrossFit champions are not specialists. We already have said that. They're really, really good at everything, but now we get to have the events where it's everything put together. And I think that once we get that, we're going to see our more classic names will start to rise to the top. But I think that it's great that we've had so many of these other names making their way up top and sitting in that top position. It sets them up to do really well. It gives them a whole lot of confidence, and then they get to go head-to-head with some of these names as we reshuffle. So guess what? We'll have some of these lower names mixing up with the big names, going shoulder to shoulder in a big scenario, in a big environment, and now it's, do you really have the juice to hang with these big dogs? We'll see.
Well, I thought it was interesting. It was, we looked at the leaderboard and then athlete strengths coming into the next event for the individual women, which is just a 1-rep max clean and jerk, is that you would think, like with some endurance events that we had yesterday with swimming, running, biking,
right.
Yeah, there was a heavy sandbag clean, but it's more of an odd object thing. It's like, if I can be good at an odd object and a barbell, that's not really the same thing for me. That doesn't really work very well. And it's a big difference when you look at that, is that still some of our best athletes and strongest athletes are sitting up there in the top 10.
And that's true. Not so much the same way with the guys, but definitely the women's, we have that. We have our, at least with the numbers that we have, the not as strong athletes are basically on the first heat, whereas our stronger athletes are up towards the top heat. They weren't in the top 3, but they're in the top heat. So we're going to see those names shift. We're going to see the top 5 start to move around a little bit. You know, we have from 3rd to 6th, we have only a 6-point spread, but below that top 3 position. So we are going to see some names start to shift, and that's going to be interesting to see what people can pull out.
Now, the one not athlete I would say worried about, but Sam Briggs currently sitting in first place by 35 points. That's a lot of points to be ahead. The problem is, one, strength events are always a damage control event for her when she's at max capacity. The problem is that she hurt herself doing a max clean and jerk in the open. She says she's not really able to split with that injured foot because it happens to be her back foot where she's putting all the pressure on the bottom. So not only is she hindered overall strength-wise versus your athletes that are running her down, the Sigmundsdóttirs, the Karin Freys. We don't know what Emily Rolf's max lift is, so we'll kind of have to see how she handles the weight. But now she's hindered even more coming in with that injury, not being able to split that jerk portion of the event. So this is damage control, but this is also, you don't want to hurt yourself coming out of this event.
If we look at some of the point totals and the way they have the point total breakdown, if she was to get a 22nd place, she would still get 44 points, which is, 56 points out. So, yeah, she would lose her 35 points, but then she's only 20 points behind. So it's not like she's going to go from that first place position and drop down, even with a bad lift, all the way down to 20th position. It'll bump her into somewhere around that 6th, 7th position. And then guess what? When you get into some of the other events that they've programmed, that they've shown, ring muscle-ups and handstand walks, you're going to see her start to shine again. So we will see Samantha Briggs be okay, even in this position. I think damage control is fine. I think she's in a healthy position right now. She's safe.
Now, women in heat number 1 for event number 4. This is their only event for the night. These are your bottom 7 athletes after 3 scored events. Again, we have a long weekend. We got a lot of things to go. Some of these looking to make their way back up the leaderboard. But just looking at this, Kalarina Notori in lane number 5 has the heaviest clean and jerk listed of all the female athletes coming into this weekend.
And the nice thing about that is it gives everyone, well, one, it gives us a chance, but it gives everyone a chance to see, all right, what do we need to hit? Everyone's going to play that Price is Right game. So what's that top point that we need to be looking at? So have a very strong athlete out there to be able to throw a number up there and put it out in front of everyone. I think that's huge.
Athletes will have 30 seconds to hit their lift within the time frame. And now as they lift, as long as they get the lift started before the 25-second mark, it can count. There'll be a 15-second break in between athletes. Lari Kuna out of Brazil makes her first lift. Middle part of your screen will be Ike Gylfadóttir. She'll attempt 85 kilos for her first. Now we're going to go around 3 times. So they'll get 3 attempts, or at least 3 30 seconds. They'll have as many attempts as they need. If they don't hit on the first one, as long as they can get it within that time frame, they'll be able to attempt it again.
I always hated that, though. My goodness. It's like you want to make it count. You want to make it work.
Looks like 107 kilos. You think that's a pretty big jump? Well, it's because she can handle it. That is Kalarina. Actually, it might be. Again, she has the heaviest listed clean and jerk. That was 107. She's listed at 116. So and 107.
That wasn't even. I mean, you saw that split. It was so shallow. I mean, she barely had to split that one.
It's called a micro split, Bill.
Yeah, we're practicing the micro split today. That just shows me that was a hey. Let's get one. Let's just get one under our belt here. Let's lift some heavy weight. Get one for the day.
Next up should be Andrea Pinheiro, also out of Brazil. So 2 Brazilian athletes in this heat. She looks to have 93. She has plates on the inside, maybe 98 kilos on the bar. So that's just over 200 pounds for her first attempt. And the challenging thing here too is how do you prep yourself for a strength event, because there's the warm up, but there's then the wait time.
And that's the hardest part of any sort of lifting event like this when you're going for a 1 rep max is you start off, you have to lift heavy in the warm up area, heavy, and know that you have about 10 minutes to go.
Well, you said heavy. And if I do the math, I believe that's 115. Angonis Magnon out of Belgium.
Nice lift. What I really like to see a lot of these athletes do, and it's one of the things we like to tell a lot of, just even regular people that we coach, is in the jerk, you aren't pushing the weight up. So you see them snap it off their shoulders and they drive themselves down quickly. That's that speed. And, man, that was a lot of speed with Magnon.
That was 105 for Magnon. One more lifter to go before we go back around for our second try. That is Shahad Boudebs from the UAE, representing the UAE at the CrossFit Games as the national champion. She'll miss. She still has time to attempt again. This looks like she punched it out front a little bit.
Oh.
Now, as we move into our second round, to keep things even across the board in terms of time between lifts, normally we would have a 10-athlete filled heat, but with less, that time in between's going to cut down a little bit. I'm not sure it's going to make the biggest difference in the world based off how these. Honestly, the less time between when it comes to this, it might be the better.
That's totally true. I think they're just trying to make it fair for everyone. They want everyone to have that 10 people, so they're trying to set that up, and everyone has that same amount of rest on their work around the world there.
It looked like it could be 100 kilos for Louise Wickstrom. Wickstrom's out of Sweden. Second attempt for Lari Kuna out of Brazil. She'll get it with a smile on her face. 103 kilos on the bar. So we're starting to creep up some pretty heavy clean and jerks. That's a little bit north of 220, approaching that 230 in pounds. Ake Gylfadóttir. She'll be up next. Again, they still have a 15-second rest period in between, so 30 seconds to lift, 15-second transition. Gylfadóttir has 92 kilos on the bar. Successful in her first attempt. Easy clean.
Whoa. Wow. Now, I'll tell you what, and that was a decent. I'm surprised. I'm glad she got that. There was a lot of pushing on that, way more than she needed to. That was not a very deep jerk. She didn't get herself underneath that bar as deep as she probably could have. I'm sure her legs are doing okay today after yesterday. I mean, yesterday was pretty damaging, but just get herself down a little bit lower. That would have been an easy lift,
And as far as she's concerned, I think that was heavier than her listed clean and jerk coming in, so possibly a casual PR for Ake Gylfadóttir.
I would.
Seems like there's a lot more left in the tank.
Well, yeah, I think there definitely is, but I don't think someone's gonna come out with their PR lift on their very first time around either.
Now your heaviest listed clean and jerk, Kalarina Natori. She'll be up next. Looks like about 112.
Wow.
And as opposed to her last one, where she had that short split and a press out, she definitely got herself under that one a bit better than the first time.
Yeah, that was great. And I mean, it's crazy how, like, for clean and jerk, you usually either are one of those people that I can clean anything, and then, or if I can jerk it, if I can get to my shoulders, it's going up. I'm not one of those people. But that clean that she had looked so simple. Whoa. Deep squat on that catch. You can see her back was rounding a little bit. That was a tough clean.
It just looked like she wasn't tight enough to receive the clean or even on the dip. That
just didn't have that extension
down.
Yeah, it didn't have that extension, that shrug of the shoulder to get that full extension. I mean, she worked herself under the bar, got herself under the bar, but you do not want to go under heavy weight like that and not be tight.
Next up, Manon Anganese. 105 was good for her first attempt. It should be 110.
That was a tight catch down the bottom. That was a nice catch.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful. Did you see that speed? Wow.
And it was the technique.
Yep.
Looks clean. It looks easy, though it's not easy.
Totally. Well, and that's the thing. Like, you talk about perfect form, and does the lifting have to have perfect form? It doesn't have to be picture perfect, but that was pretty dang close.
But it helps.
I mean, when you are the more close you are to perfect, then you're in such a good position. You can carry so much weight just because of how the weight is stacked on your body. Man, that was amazing. And the speed, again, under the bar. That is what's so important about Olympic lifting, is having that speed. Once it gets off your body, being able to quickly get yourself down into position.
Shahan Boudebs couldn't get the jerk on her first attempt, but she will get it on her second one. So she is on the board. Looks like 87 kilos for Shahan Boudebs. So that is 2 rounds through. We have 1 more round left to go. Athletes will get 30 more seconds to try to up their clean and jerk for their only event for day number 2. Louise Wickstrom out of Sweden looks to have 105 kilos on the bar. Should be about 231 pounds. Successful on her first 2 attempts. I believe it was 95, 100, and jumping to 105. And this will be her last run through, her 3rd and final attempt. And athletes, as we go through, is they're going to run through this event as if 10 athletes are on the floor.
Right.
And so
Right.
the idea there is that everyone gets the same exact amount of time between lifts, no matter the heat. So even though there's only 7 athletes in this heat, they're going to run the time as if it was a full heat of 10. That's why there's such a big break between your last lifter and your first lifter.
And that's just, again, it's just making sure that everyone has the same amount of rest, trying to keep the playing field as even as possible. I think it's a little, you hope you know that as the athlete so that you're kind of mentally prepared. It's one thing to kind of fire yourself up to go to lift and then I got to wait 90 seconds. Crap. So you can see that she was kind of, doing a little dance, get a little water, check the weight a little bit, and then trying to psych herself back up for that. I mean, it's always a good time to dance, right? Get a little groove in there.
You'll stay warm, that's for sure.
Oh, that's where Zumba came from. I get it now.
Now, in terms of 105 for Louise Wickstrom, this is her lifted PR, or listed PR coming in. Obviously, she would like it to be her lifted PR as well in terms of getting her 3rd and final attempt. It's 105 kilos on the bar. Just over 230 pounds. 2 for 2 in 2 rounds.
Whoa, she's got time. She could do that.
I think a lot of that was just getting the elbows around.
Yeah, it just has, a lot of times athletes will think about, they're trying to catch that weight with their wrists, and their elbows would go down, it's out in front. You have to almost think about catching it with your neck. Elbows up, fight that.
105 proves to be just a little bit out of reach. She'll be credited with her heaviest lift previous to that. So we'll move from Louise Wickstrom to Laurie Kuna out of Caballeros CrossFit. Successful on her last 2 attempts.
Oh.
Just getting a little pinned in the bottom.
Really hoping for that stretch reflex, that little bounce down at the bottom. But you know what? The thing was, she was in great position. That her spine was nice and straight, so she was totally safe when she was doing that bounce.
And that's a little north of 105. It's like 105, maybe 107. So she'll get her 2nd attempt. Next up will be Ake Gylfadóttir. Hit 92 on her previous lift. She's moved up to 95. Great
Nice.
on that clean.
Wow.
I really love that position.
Again, I just think she could go down a little bit deeper. Whoa, 2 things. I kind of think she holds the weight a little longer than she needs to. You see a lot of athletes, a lot of lifters, they do take that big breath in and try to tighten everything up to keep that torso nice and tight. But I think she was just holding on to it just a little bit too long.
And the thing was, that clean is no problem. That clean looks good coming out of the bottom. It's just that overhead.
And I think that it's just a matter of splitting those feet just a touch wider, which will put her a little bit lower.
Now your heaviest listed snatch, Kalarina Nattori. Her last attempt at clean and jerk. Stands it up. Wow.
Dead stop front squat. Oh, my gosh. Wow.
I tell you what, in terms of getting it up and getting under, that was one of her better splits. She just I think she just ran out of gas just holding in that position.
Yeah,
That was a lot of work.
Energy, a lot of work done trying to get that bar into position, trying to get back on her heels, and then going from a dead stop like that and doing that front squat, that takes a ton out of you.
So we move from Calarina Nattori to Andrea Pinheiro. Didn't get a successful lift on her last attempt. She's gone up to about 103, and she'll press it out.
Wow.
We call it counts in CrossFit. How many times you said that in the gym?
Lots of times. Lots of times.
So that is a good lift for Andrea Pinheiro. Manon Agonis is next. She's just putting on her own show with her and Nattori in this first heat. They've been going back and forth a little bit. 112 on the bar. That's pushing that 245, 250.
It's a little bit to the toes, a little bit to the toes.
Now she still has time for another attempt if she wants to take it. It must start before the 25-second mark. And that'll bring us to Shahad Boudeb's one athlete left. This will be her third and final attempt. She was successful in her second one. And she's moved up to 90 kilos. It's just south of 200 pounds.
Nice clean.
Clean
nice
is good.
Clean.
And we've seen that a lot. It's just that overhead for a lot of these ladies
Oh,
in heat
wow.
one, but she'll nail 90 kilos.
Nice.
So 90 kilos is good for Shuhad Boudebs. As heat one comes to a close, we still have 2 more heats remaining. As heat number 1 is done, and we'll reset for heat number 2. Heat 1 done, 2 more heats left to go. I think you start to get a picture of how the flow is going to go for these athletes. What weight I think it's great to have some of your top strength athletes in the first heat to kind of set the tone for the next 2 heats for those athletes trying to plan out their events coming up.
Well, you want to know, okay, these athletes didn't do anything all day long today. So what were the effects yesterday? Getting to a long break, and then how are these athletes doing here compared to their normal weights, what their listed weights are. So you're right. It's nice to have some of those good lifters, those strong lifters, to be able to put those numbers up and be able to see, okay, where were they percentage-wise? Then I can kind of gauge where I should be too, and you kind of go from there. But it's going to be fun to watch those big dogs at the end.
Oh, they're coming up. We got 2 heats left to go. Heat 1 is done for the individual women. Heat 2 is coming up next. Heat 1 is done. Heat 2 coming up. Now, some names in this heat that we would see or assume that would be a little bit higher on the leaderboard, especially the performance over the last couple of years. Jamie Green, one of these athletes that'll be in the second heat. Now, a smaller athlete, phenomenal athlete, but a strong athlete.
Super strong athlete. I mean, it's very hard to say, well, she's a smaller in stature. She is very powerful. And even though we don't see her up in that top heat, we know what she is capable of. Yesterday was a little bit different day with the events that were handed out. I think she's going to put up a big number because she knows, and she's a very competitive athlete. She's going to want to try and do everything she can to get herself back up in that top heat.
Another athlete to look for to have success in this event for the 1-rep max clean and jerk is in lane number 3, Taylor Howe. She's coming in with a lifted 115-kilo clean and jerk, and I think that might have been one of the heaviest lifts from the previous heat from Notori. We have to get the official results from heat number 1 as we move from 1 to 2. But these are kind of, it's nice to have some of these athletes come in, especially for that last heat.
Well, then plus, guess what? Everyone just loves to see heavy barbells anyway. So whenever you have an event like this, I mean, it's not your classic, it's not your, burning it up kind of CrossFit.
Competitive set.
But in a competitive set, like, this is like the crowd loves this stuff. I mean, everyone likes to see heavy things being lifted up and thrown around. So I think it's great that, these athletes are able to actually have some good numbers and big numbers, not just in the top heat, but all the way through all these heats. You always are going to have someone in there that's going to be able to, clang and bang some big bars.
Individual women heat number 2, event number 5. They had 3 scored events yesterday. This is their 4th event, only one for the day. We'll start things off. Hannah Short. Now, there is actually a empty lane. So, again, like we said before, is that we'll still traditionally go through the timing. Empty lane in lane number 1. As we are in heat number 2, individual event number 4, we've had 3 lifters go. Carol Castellani will be good at 90 kilos.
I'm going to call that a confidence lift because that was easy. Very easy for her.
And that's going to bring up Jamie Green, who won this event a few years ago, podiumed at the CrossFit Games last year for the first time. 102 on the bar for Jamie Green. She came in with a listed clean and jerk at 111. Jamie Green needs to have a good event because even though we have a lot of events left to go with 2 more days, she is down outside nearly the top 10. So she's going to have to make up some ground, 85 points out of that first place position.
Well, you know, she just has to get herself up into that top 3-4 position in this event. I think she's got the ability to do that. She is very strong, and with the listed weights of some of these girls, I think she's going to be able to do that. Then get her into the weekend. She'll have a good rest of the weekend.
But what she needs to do is get herself in the final heat. That's going to be, I would say, her course of action right now because this is heat 2 of 3. If you want to get yourself back in the mix, you got to make sure you're with the athletes you want to be in the mix with.
Well, that's absolutely true. However, like last heat or not, you just have to you know, give it all you got and go crazy now to get her back up. It's not about being the last heat. It's about getting as many points as you possibly can wherever you are. So put the blinders on and go to town.
Taylor Howe just hit 100 kilos. That's going to bring Christina Agerbeck out of Butcher's Lab. Looks like she should have about 85 kilos on the bar.
Nice.
And that'll be good for Agerbeck.
Nice lift.
So we are done with a first round of lifters. We have 2 more to go. Again, each athlete will be allotted 30 seconds to make their clean and jerk attempt. 15-second transition. And as we saw in the previous heats, we are still going to navigate through these as if 10 athletes are on the floor, making sure the rest period between lifts is equal across every heat.
I think that's what happened in that first round is all of a sudden, even though there were those 2 places that were missing, the athletes just kind of jumped in there. They just kind of jumped in, and that's what they messed up on. But we're going to have 2 full lifting times, so a minute's worth of time before we actually get to one of our lifters again.
So as we're getting set for our second round, looks like 97 kilos on the bar for Christy Hollard out of Australia. Successful on her first attempt, bumping up about 5 kilos. And Bill, as you said, we have that 2-minute break in between rounds because of the empty lanes. So Hollard is up. Missed her first attempt at 97. She was successful in the first round. Made the jump out to 97. Now, as long as that lift gets done before the time cap, she can continue her attempt. And now Hollard has a decision to make. Next up will be Laura Clifton out of CrossFit Response up in New Zealand. 106 on the bar for Laura.
Oh, wow.
And again, we still keep seeing that decent clean, and I think it just seems like people are steering away from the more technical aspect and just trying to muscle it up over their head more than just doing the right things to get the job done.
Oh, well, soccer balls, the headshots are really not going to help. You know, what I'm seeing from a lot of these athletes, if they're struggling, is it's almost a fear of getting deep underneath that bar. You have to be able to get yourself underneath the bar. It's not about, you need to have the split width, but a powerful width. You got to be able to still be strong in that position.
97 for Hannah Short. She'll miss.
And she keeps going for a power clean, and I'm not sure why she's afraid to get into that squat position. The bar is plenty up high enough. Just squat down underneath it.
And a lot of that's pretty surprising, I would say, especially on your second round. Because if you think about, just in terms of Olympic lifting in general, right? They get 3 attempts. It's not the same format. It's a little bit different, but it's something you know you can hit, something you're pretty sure you can hit.
And then
maybe going something. But that looks so far off from the ability to do that.
Oh, yeah.
96 kilos on the bar for Castellani. And that's good. And, you know, you could tell there was some work to get it done, but it was a lift that she was comfortable with. And now you try to play that gamble for your last attempt. She jumped up from 90 kilos. So that was a 6-kilo jump for Castellani.
Well, and none of these girls, none of these women should have missed that first lift. Shouldn't have been any misses there at all. And again, even on the second one, you're going big. You should be able to go big, but let's get technical with it. Why do you feel the need to have to power clean it? Make your clean work, you know?
Jamie Green is next. 102 is her first attempt, going for 106.
See, she's one of those athletes that if it gets to my shoulders, it's going to be up overhead. It's going to get up because she looked like there was more of a struggle on the clean than there was on the jerk. The jerk was, oh, I already got this. We're done.
106 is good for Jamie Green. That's a 4-kilo increase. So Taylor Howe having one of the heaviest listed clean and jerks is 115. She actually did that at the Commonwealth Games. That was completed last year. She was good at 100. That was a nice, easy clean for 106. And 106 will be good, so she matches Jamie Green. And now we're going to see that chess match between those two athletes in the third round as they both have a successful lift at 106.
Now, the nice thing with Howe is she has the advantage to see, okay, what are you going to hit? I can choose if I want to go up on that. Jamie Green's going to have to decide, all right, I got to go big because I don't get to make another choice on it.
In fact, I think we have 3 106s. Laura Clifton hit it earlier. Christina Agerbach out of Butcher's Lab. Out of Denmark. Successful at 85. Makes a 5-kilo jump to 90, and she'll get 90. As we close out the second wave of lifts. One more wave to go, as we will have about a 3-minute break. Again, allotting for the empty lanes is not having a full 10 athletes in this second heat. We will have a full 10 in the third and final heat, as this is just heat number 2 of 3. Now that's Christy Hollard. She had missed 97 twice in that second wave, this being her third attempt, and she almost got it on her fourth attempt.
So close.
97 is not going to be able to be put overhead for Christy Hollard, so she'll be with her first successful attempt. At least she got one on the board. Right, Bill?
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
It's all right. I'm sure there's a deadlift workout coming.
I'm sure there is.
So Clifton had cleaned 106 last time, but was unable to get it overhead. She had actually attempted it twice and missed the jerk twice. Now that is 3.
She's so strong in the clean, so we know that she's got the power in her legs. She's got to let herself get underneath that bar just a little bit more on that jerk. Don't try to push it up. Push her body down and get deep under that bar. Down.
Clifton not going to get 106. Still had a successful first attempt, even though she missed her last 2. This being the third and final wave for these women in individual event number 4. As we move from Clifton to Hannah Short, she's attempting 97 again. Although she's taking her belt off
over her shoulder. That's the international sign for I'm done.
So Hannah Short will not attempt, and I think after looking at her last attempt, that was a great idea.
Yeah.
100 kilos on the bar. Castellani has successful lift at 96. And she will add 4 kilos if she can stand it up.
Oh, wow. She had that, too. Arms are just about locked. She's got to drive off that back leg and get underneath that bar just a touch.
Now, she does have time to attempt again as long as it is before the 30-second mark. And a lot of that, you know, Bill, when you look at it coming up, is just when a clean takes that long and you work that hard,
that bleeds a lot of energy.
Now, she had the confidence. It's the energy, but the confidence to kind of get under that, not feeling as fresh as you think you would have.
Yeah, but I just think she didn't drive herself under that bar. I mean, I don't know if that was a confidence issue. I just think that she was just exhausted.
Jamie Green will miss her first attempt in the clean. Bill, like as you were saying earlier, it wasn't the jerk that was the issue for Jamie Green, but it was the clean.
She just has to get that bar stood up. That's all.
She had a successful lift at 106. She jumped to 109. And just not able to get in that clean. One of the athletes is having the opposite problem as most of these ladies. The jerk overhead doesn't seem to be the issue where the clean was. So 106 will be good for Jamie Green. As we'll move to Taylor Howe. She had also hit 106. 110 is on the bar.
There's that Price is Right technique.
Just a little out front, not able to lock it out. And as we're in that third wave in these heavier weights, it's really hard to jump back up and hit that again. So 106, good for Taylor Howell. She ties Jamie Green in heat number 2. And we don't know what the heaviest weight was in heat 1, but we do know it was heavier than 106. One more lifter to go in heat number 2. Christina Agerbeck. She had a successful 85. And looks now she's trying to go for 95. She'd gotten 90 on her second attempt. So she bumped up another 5 kilos and not able to get that, as we will close out heat number 2 with one more heat remaining for the individual women. And your top 10 coming out of the day 1 of competition We had 3 scored events yesterday. This will be the only event for the individuals and teams today. So kind of a little bit of a break in the morning. Starting the evening off, I think they started right around 6 o'clock at night, which is really nice to get to sleep in, rest up after a long day of competition yesterday. Just a clean and jerk event for this one, knowing we have a tough 2 days of competition. After what we've seen so far in the first 2 heats, what would you be say you had an athlete in the final heat, what would you be telling him after watching the first 2?
Make sure you get your first lift in. Take that one from me if you want to. Second one, then you can go big. But what I want to see on that second lift is I want good movement. So if you're going to squat, squat. If you need to get that jerk primed, make sure you get a good split on your jerk so you're ready to go. And then have fun on the last one. But make your first one count technique-wise and go for it.
1 heat left to go. 10 athletes will be coming up shortly for the 3rd and final heat of individual women's event number 4. Two heats down, 1 heat left to go. We have your top 10 athletes after 1 day of competition. They had 3 scored events yesterday. We went from the beach to the track, and now we are back in the iconic duty-free tennis stadium here at the 2019 Dubai CrossFit Championship. And your standings after those 3 events, Samantha Briggs, oh, hello, sitting on top of the leaderboard with 285 points, and the distance she has on 2nd and 3rd already is quite impressive. However, the event we have coming up is going to change that in about 10 minutes.
Well, the fact that she has 35 points of cushion is a gigantic plus and a gigantic feather in her cap, because we know that she's not going to have the biggest lift. We know that she was injured on the clean and jerk through the open, but it gives her plenty of cushion to be able to deal with that. So even if she has a very run-of-the-mill lift, I think maybe she'll fall out of number 1, but she's not going to be out of that striking position at all.
And I think the same thing can be said for Emily Rolfe and Julie Hogard, is that, those are 2 athletes that don't have the heaviest listed clean and jerk, which is our individual event coming into tonight. The only event we have in day number 2 with 2 more days of competition left to go. But those athletes sitting in that 5th, 6th position, you have Gabriela Magala, strong athlete, Sara Sigmundsdóttir, Karin Frey. So I think a lot of those top athletes that aren't currently in that first podium position will be making up some ground here in event number 4.
Well, and I don't even want to say who to keep our eye on right now because we have so many strong and powerful athletes here.
Just don't blink.
Just don't blink.
Keep
just
your eye
watch
on everyone.
Everybody. Just get some eye drops and just drip them in there. You'll be fine. But there's going to be a lot of bigger bars being thrown around. But the interesting thing is to be, okay, what does Samantha Briggs do here? How is she going to be able to handle the damage control?
Heat 3 is underway. Looks like Marnie Sykes will get it. She actually missed her first attempt, but that was successful at 90 kilos.
And the only athlete to actually go for that second attempt right with like 2 seconds left to go and complete the lift, like actually continue all the way through.
We haven't seen someone miss and then make. Sara Sigmundsdóttir starting off in a big way. That's good for 105 kilos. Sigmundsdóttir is sitting in 5th, over 50 points out of first place, but that can easily be made up. When you're looking at the total placing on the leaderboard, 1st through 18th is a difference of 49 points. So we'll have to see where Sam Briggs ends up trying to hold on to at least maybe a podium spot in that top 3. Julie Hugard is successful at 95. Now for her, she had a good gaming day yesterday.
Yeah.
Getting a top event in the swim, sacrificing the run overall score for a bike score. She actually got first place. 101 is good. That's her heaviest lift. Sam Briggs. Now Sam Briggs is starting at 80. Now the thing we need to understand, not the best event for her, even in her best shape.
No.
She's coming in with an injured foot from a clean and jerk during the open. And the thing for her is that it's not just damage control, but it's the safety and health that she does not want to put herself in a bad spot.
Now, we talked early before about how her back foot was the one that was injured. So we didn't see her split there. She went for the wide split. So it's more of a push-jerk setup. You can still split your legs, which she did. And that was a pretty nice split. I think she can still get, for her, a decent lift with that. But again, we just have, look across the board. We don't see anybody else in the 80 starting lift. So that's something she really is going to have to consider for this event.
Up next is Emily Rolfe. She has 93 kilos on the bar, currently sitting in the top 3. Now, she didn't have a listed clean and jerk, so we're going to ride along this surprise train with her for the next 3 rounds. Opting for that full squat clean. You see some athletes kind of doing that power in their first one. And there's getting under the bar you've been asking for the last 2 heats.
I like that. I think her feet were a little they were a little like tightrope walking on that one. You can see she was just a touch off balance, but I love the speed, how she's able to catch it with her arms locked out. That's the way it's supposed to look.
Rolfe is good at 93. 102 on the bar for Magala. Now, this is one of those athletes, I would say, that has kind of grown up with the Dubai CrossFit Championship. She came in as a teenager on the scene.
That's right. She came from the CrossFit Games as a teen and then right into the Dubai CrossFit Championship. So the fact that she's here, this is kind of her birthplace. And it's been fun to watch her grow up.
And even at a young age, she had some strong legs. And 102 is good for Gabriela Magala. That's the second heaviest weight in this heat, with Sigmundsdóttir still holding on to 105. 105 also on the bar for Karin Frey, who made a big splash last year at the Dubai CrossFit Championship, as well as foraying that into a CrossFit Games appearance. Karin Frey was one of 4 athletes that was within a handful of points to winning this event last year going into the final event.
Wow. You know what? that looked like it wasn't easy, but there was zero technique on that. So I'm going to say she's got a lot left in the tank. Clean up the technique, and all kinds of weight is going to go up.
I think it's one of those, like, get the first round jitters out of the way.
Yeah.
A lot of football players like, look, I just need to get that first hit out of the way.
Just hit me one time.
And then I'll get into my rhythm. So 105 good for Karin Frey. Emma Tall, 100 kilos on the bar. This will be her first attempt. She came in with a listed max of 105. 100 kilos, about 220 pounds.
Oh.
Tell you what, that just looked like
she overshot it.
Miscatch.
She overshot it. It was actually, she got so deep underneath. She shot it up so far, so high up off her shoulders and got down so low so quickly that the weight actually came down on top of locked out arms.
Now, as long as she gets the lift attempt or started before the 30 seconds is up, you see her kind of grabbing at her right wrist a little bit, but 100 will count.
And I think that was just that bar coming down on the wrist.
Up next, Alessandra Pacelli, 106 on the bar. This is one of those athletes that can throw around some weight. The third best lift we've seen is 106 kilos. Saw Jamie Green do that.
There it is.
So
man.
106 is good for Pacelli. Your top lift came from heat number 1. Nattori got 112 kilos. In the second heat, Manon Aganis got 110. And right now we have a three-way tie at 106. Michaela Norman, 85 kilos on the bar. With her skill set is very specific in terms of kind of that hit or miss first or last technique. Is like strength, not her forte in terms of what her best movements are. She did a pretty good job yesterday at capitalizing on the events that she had.
Well, and that's one of the things that Michaela has always been able to do is, like, when you need to go big, you go big on the ones you know you're going to score well. Again, damage control for her, but man, it's really silly. It's really funny how her and Samantha Briggs are so close. It's like she's the new Samantha Briggs kind of coming up on Sam's tail.
Marnese Sykes got 90, but it took her 2 attempts to get it in the first round. And talking about a busy athlete, she actually competed in the Pandaland Championships a weekend ago over in China.
That's what a lot of these athletes are doing is they're on the tour bus going from, place to place trying to get their spot and competing in competition tempo weekend to weekend to weekend. Like it takes a toll on your body.
Now, she won't be able to get 95. As she did podium in Pandaline, took 3rd place. Her attempt at 94, unsuccessful. She will have one more attempt. Up next, Sara Sigmundsdóttir. 105 was her first lift, going for 110. 1,010 kilos. This will match the second best we've seen as she gets it, and she will. So Sigmundsdóttir good for 110. She is now in a 2-way tie with Manon Aganis for 110 kilos.
So she knows what the top lift is going. She has to know. And the fact that she was able to put that weight up easy, unless anyone else hits a 110, I expect to see at least a 113 from her on that next round.
100 kilos on the bar. Julie Hugo out of Denmark. And that is good. That is one of the cleanest lifts we've seen so far.
Very pretty. I like it.
So Sigmundsdóttir has 110. Your second best lift so far, as Briggs saddles up for 85 kilos, is Pacelli with 106 and Karin Frey at 105 in this heat. Castellina Nattori still holding on to first overall with a 112 lift, as we have a tie at 110 and a three-way tie at 106. And again for Briggs, it's just making sure she can navigate through this event the best of her ability and the safest for her, because it's weird to say, but a 75% healthy Sam Briggs is a dangerous one.
Oh my gosh, totally dangerous.
And so for her, is just making sure she navigates the events the appropriate way based off what she can handle in terms of that pain threshold.
The thing is that you're not going to have another event like this.
Just an isolated lift.
Just do your thing, stay safe. In fact, I mean, honestly, we say damage control, but we don't want her to try to risk anything on this one. There's really no reason to do so. So whatever, get through this one, have fun, be healthy, so that you can crush on all the other events.
Emily Rolfe going for 96. She was successful at 93, but getting pinned in the bottom. And I think after that one is take your licks and try to get it on the third round.
That was a long attempt down at the bottom. I mean, I could see maybe 1 or 2 bounces, 4 or 5 bounces down there. Or just go ahead and put the bar down.
Or try it again.
Put the bar down.
Or
just wait till the next round.
Good job. That's a good idea.
I like it.
So 93 will still be Rolfe's heaviest lift. That was 96. Didn't get it on her first attempt. She'll try it again. They have one more go around. Magala has 107 on the bar. This will break that three-way tie at 106, and she'll get 107.
All right, I just want you to say real quick, did you see her hair interface the whole time? The fact that she was able to keep that focus as she's trying to spit the hair out of it, that was awesome. I'm just going to give it up to her for that, because that was really cool.
107 is good for Gabriela Magala, so she is sitting in fourth because we have a two-way tie at 110. Karin Frey, 108. Successful earlier with 105. And here comes the chess match on the competition floor, as she is opting for 1 kilo more than what Gabriela Magala just put up.
Man.
That same off-balanced receiving position.
Just got to clean that up. There's got to be a little bit of technique work. She could be one of those strong athletes that's right up here where she can push around the 112, the 115 on a clean and jerk. Getting off kilter like that, I mean, it does, you lose kilos by doing that.
This is Emma Tall out of CrossFit Kungslomen out of Sweden. She's going for 102, got 100 on the first set. Every athlete is going to get 3 attempts, 30 seconds apiece. Her heaviest lift was 105 listed coming in.
Nice.
And that is good for 102.
I like that lift. Very pretty.
Up next is Pacelli to round out your heat, as we are in our second round of 3 total attempts, 30 seconds apiece. Pacelli hit 106. She's locked in with a 3-way tie. Previously hit by Jamie Green, as well as Taylor Howe. We just saw Magala and Frey hit 107 and 108. Sigmundsdóttir got 110.
Oh, wow. Now, did that drain the tank by hanging out of it? That was a huge fight.
It drained the camera, that's for sure.
Wow.
I cannot believe she got that.
That was so awesome. I mean,
wow.
Okay, most athletes would bail out. There was so much holding on to that. That usually sucks the energy right out of your athlete. The fact that she was able to recover and have enough poise to go for the jerk after that. Great job, Alessandra.
87 on the bar for Michaela Norman. She's already hit 85. Couldn't get 87 in the previous one. But Pacelli with that 110 has put her in a 3-way tie for second overall, with Nattori still holding on to 112. I tell you, it might not have been the most weight we've seen, but that was probably the most impressive lift we've seen to date, just by
what it was.
long it took to get the clean.
And she didn't give up on it. And that's one of the things that you see a lot of these athletes will do is if it's not perfect, they give up on it right away. And she did not give up on it.
Norman will miss, so she'll be good for 85. She's tied with Briggs. Now, the good thing for Briggs is that the lowest that she can score is 25th.
Yeah.
And so for her, that's still 41 points.
Yep.
She had a 50-point lead on Sigmundsdóttir, who was in 5th.
That's what I mean. So she's in a very comfortable position. And this is the one event that will do this. The other events that are out there aren't like this one. She's not going to take last or second to last in any of the other events. So she's in a very good position.
Sykes will go for her
Ooh.
third and final attempt. That was 94. I think she's calling it quits. Couldn't get 94 on the previous one.
I'm surprised we don't see a 113 on there.
Now, here's the problem that I have with Sara and her competition at strategies. 112.
She's going to get this so
and,
easy.
okay, she gets this.
13.
All right, here's my problem.
113. She has 113.
That, good job on 112, but that is a bad competition strategy move. And that is the biggest hole I think Sara has in her entire game, because we see these little missteps.
Let's talk about why that's a bad point. She's not giving herself the credit for the athlete that she is. This is your event. Don't undergun yourself by going, oh, well, I'll just play it safe on here. She knew that she would be able to get this. She got the 110 so easy. She should have hit the 113.
And what she did is she left 5 points on the board.
Totally. And she's not in a position where she can do that. She's currently in 6th place. Why leave 5 points if you don't need to in an event that you should be taking?
Now, what I want to see is, although I say I want to see what Pacelli did, but I don't know how much she has left in that clean after 110. But a successful lift for Sara Sigmundsdóttir, but that only ties Castellini Nattori's weight of 112.
Yep.
And Bill, like I said, is the strength is there, the ability there. You're handcuffing yourself.
Well, I will say this. I will say this one thing. She understands the fact that, okay, I don't need to beat you. We can tie for first, so I don't gain the points. You did. Nattori wasn't in the realm where she had to worry about her, so it wasn't close enough. So I get that, but the thing is, she could have made that lift.
Briggs will miss 89. Again, not going to be the best lift, but it's not going to hurt her that much in the overall standings. Now, it's going to bring everybody closer together. Right? If Sarah's going to pick up 100 points, Briggs only going to get,
had that.
You know, she's second to last. She's only going to lose maybe 50. So it brings them back all together, but she's not going to topple out of the leaderboard. She actually may still be in a first-place position after this event. If not, definitely in the top 3.
Yeah. Yeah, so she was safe. And, you know, there's only one of these. That's okay. She's in a great position.
Rolf going for 95. She's currently sitting in the top 3 along with Julie Hugo. Rolf had hit 93, went for 96, and has dropped back down to 95. So 93 will stand, so she will get a lift. And, Billy, as you're saying, the importance of getting a number on the board first and then playing the game within the game with the rest of the field. Again, 112. Magala is actually sitting ahead of Sigmundsdóttir on the leaderboard and not by much.
She wants to not tie. That's a long hold there. I don't know.
And she is going to...
She's going to pass out. You got to drop the bar. Yep, that's what happens when you hold the bar too long. That's why when you see athletes, when they sit up in that resting position, you don't want to hold that breath for too long. Get it up, and then make the lift.
Good old Mama Bear Briggs is there to listen, youngin'. Just have a seat here because you're about to hit the floor.
Child, sit down.
I'm glad Magala is okay. She still will get credit for 107. as Frey is going to try to break that three-way tie currently sitting at 110. And that nice, easy clean.
Man,
and it's
easy
just
clean.
that offset balance. Much better for Carr and Frey.
Wow.
And you saw the ease of that lift. And I think
The more technical.
how the first two went maybe scared her out of a little bit of a bigger jump than 110 because there's a lot of room left in there for that athlete.
There is a ton left, but she just, sometimes, maybe it's one of those things where you have to hit a particular weight just to kind of weight you down a little bit and slow you down a little bit. But her, body was very straight, much more controlled, in a much better position, and man, that was way prettier.
Emma Tall got 102 on her first set, now going for 104. And you see on the back right side of your screen, Pacelli, 112, put on the... Is there only 112 kilos out there for these athletes to lift? Is that the deal? Have they used all the plates?
Now, I will say for Pacelli, as she's setting up for her lift, that was great job,
104
Emma.
is good
Great
for
job.
Emma Tall.
For Pacelli, she had the struggle on the last lift. So I could see her going like, okay, 12 is going to be pushing it. But the other two, no. They should have gone up.
But, I mean, if that's the case and you might miss it anyways, you might as well give her your chance to get first.
That's what I mean.
I don't agree. I'm just going to I don't understand that whatsoever. It's 1 kilo.
Pacelli had to fight that clean.
Yeah, so if you're going to miss it, at least give your opportunity. If you do make it, you get first.
Or tie and get first.
Or tying first.
Because you don't lose any points that way.
Pacelli got herself stuck at 112. And to your point, Bills, at 112 or 113, 100 points is 100 points. But it's, I think Matt said this, is that he tied once at the CrossFit Games for the heaviest lift at an overhead squat.
Yep.
Last year at the 1-rep max snatch, he made sure he went 1 kilo heavier.
That's the
because
game.
he knew he'd get 100 points, but it's taking away points for your other competitors.
I agree.
That's what I'm talking
For
about.
Sarah, that should have been the game.
Yes.
For Alessandra, that wasn't the game. I'm surprised that Sarah didn't do that.
So Sarah will win her heat at 112, but she will tie overall with Casalina Nattori. So the heaviest weight is a tie between Nattori and Sigmundsdóttir. And really what we're trying to kind of describe.
We're not hating on you, Sarah. We're not hating on you.
But it's the game within the game. And that's the level, because, when you get to the top, everyone's strong, everyone's fast, everyone is fit. And then it's the strategies, the gaming between, though. It's not the 100 points that I get, but it's the 100 points that you don't get. And that's what kind of Fraser was talking about last year with the max snatch, is he went that extra kilo, not because he was going to get more points, but someone else wasn't.
Right, but you have to think about who are you tied with, and so I'm hoping that we get to hear that from Sarah, why she didn't go for that 113.
Sigmundsdóttir, your winner of Heat 3, tying for the event win with Nattori's down with Nikki Brazier.
Girl, you looked excited, but also hungry for those lifts. I mean, you could see the focus in your face. What was going through your mind as you were preparing for this event?
I was just thinking about that it was light the whole time. It's going to be easy. It's going to be easy. We had like 5 minutes between lifts, so it's like when you haven't touched the bar in 5 minutes, it feels a little bit heavier. And I was like, no, this is just easy. So I always said to myself before I lifted, light.
I think it's good advice for all of us.
Yeah.
Speaking of, it looked light. In fact, your lift at 110 looked light, and 112 will get you a tie for first place.
Yeah.
Why not go for 113? I mean, that 110 looked so easy.
I just had a plan. I had no idea what anybody else did, so I just stuck to that plan. I was like, okay, 115. Stay calm. Stay calm. So I just went for 112. 12 is my number. 12th of December. So it's perfect.
It worked out well. Now, I see your family is here in the stands. And what does this kind of support do for you when you're so far away from home?
Oh, this is... I couldn't do this if they weren't here. Like, I just found them in the crowd, and then, like, I don't know, it just gives me so much energy, so...
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sara Sigmundsdóttir.
Sara Sigmundsdóttir, 112, ties for the best lift, 100 points more for her, which is what she needed sitting in 5th place. Obviously, we'll see how the weekend shakes out with the cumulative of points. We have so much work left to do, but after that event, I'm curious to see how the leaderboard stacks up and how some of these athletes react to that flip that's probably going to happen.
And it will be very interesting to see what that shuffle looks like and where people fall. You know, the biggest question is what happens now with Samantha Briggs? Where did she fall, or did she really fall that far at all? This was the big strength event of the competition, the one time where you don't have any other shot at the lift, which could be the biggest damage for Sam. It's not going to be that for the rest of the weekend, so I think she's in good contention.
And that'll do it for the individual women for day number 2, but it is not over because we got the men coming up next as they take on individual event number 4, the 1 rep max clean and jerk. It's funny. Some of the weights that they said they had available, some of these guys can lift more than the weight that they would actually have to have out there. So stay tuned because the big weights are coming up next.
I'll never forget where I started. I'll never forget my failures and disappointments. I remember them as stepping stones. There are no secrets, no shortcuts, only hard work. I know all my strengths, but more importantly, I know all my weaknesses. I surround myself with those who help me unleash my full potential. I give my body exactly what it needs, then I put in the work. I test, improve, and retest. It just has to be done every single day. I am Matthew Fraser. I don't want to think I'm getting better. I want to know it.
Individual men are taking the floor for the first time and the final time for day number 2 of competition. Bill Grundler, Chase Ingham, Nikki Brazier will be joining us a little bit later on the competition floor. The individual women went, tested their 1-rep max clean and jerk. It is now the men's turn to move to event number 4. A couple athletes I'm looking at that you thought would do well that are not doing so good after a day of competition is one of your athletes that was dominating the Open all year, and that was Lefteris Theophanitis.
Yeah, and I've been waiting to see him here on the floor. We saw some unbelievable. We kept seeing his name in the Open. Everyone's like, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? But how is it that you are doing so well in the Open, and then you come here to this event and you're second to last? Something is going on, and I'm not sure if it's an injury thing or what the case may be. Maybe it's just the fact that it's being on the stage. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see. But I want to see him move himself back up the leaderboard here.
Evan Morris is good at 151. Now Lefteris, he's actually, not only was he coming in with one of the best performances overall in the Open, but he's coming in with the highest listed clean and jerk of all the athletes coming in as well at 181. That's a 400-pound clean and jerk listed. One of the athletes that was asking for extra weight so he could maybe win this event.
You know what? All I am doing right now is okay, let's show me. Let me see what you have. I want to see something big. If it's at home, it doesn't really matter. It's got to be here on the competition floor.
Dylan Martin out of Craft Fitness. 135 on the bar. And a good first-round lift.
Oh,
it wasn't too heavy. He got to actually work on his technique under heavy load.
Totally.
And I think we've seen a lot of that too much on the women's side is that maybe they're just afraid to start too light, thinking you only had 3 chances.
Yeah, and that's what's rough. I think the experienced athletes will be able to show they know kind of where to hit. And you're going to look at okay, let me hit an 80%, something that I know a good lift that I know I can hit basically all the time. Then you make your adjustments from there.
151 on the bar for Alexander Caron. Came in with a listed 161.
He's kind of sat himself down on the floor a little bit. Again, we heard Sara earlier say how much time there is between the lifts. So you got 5 minutes before you get to touch the barbell again. There is something to that. So all these athletes, if nothing else, not just going for strength, but train with big pauses in between your lifts.
Ooh, Caron.
Wow. Wow. All right, make it happen. It's like, whoa. Whoa, Nelly.
151, good for Caron. That'll tie Evan Morris's 151. And it's not just the 5 minutes between the rounds, but they sit in that tunnel getting ready to come out here for a lot longer than that. Karar McGronder out of CrossFit Laparo.
And that's one of the hardest things about a 1-rep max lift whenever you do it in any competition is that time in between. But nice lift. Nice lift.
Lift is good. He's also your national champion coming out of Germany. $140 on the bar for Alex Katoulis. One of the few Greek athletes we have here at the Dubai CrossFit Championships. The problem with the Open is he has to be competing with old Lefteris a little bit, trying to get that first set. But he was third in that national championship race, and 140 good for Alex Katoulis.
What I liked about that is he didn't take a lot of time being in that rack position. Got up to his shoulders and right up overhead after that.
Spencer Panchek is up to the bar at 152. We've seen 151 twice. And now what I like to see there is just kind of bumping up just a little bit ahead of the other guys. I mean, he probably watched Alexander Caron. He's like, there's no way he's getting more than 151 after the lat lift. But, strategy related, put a little bit into the game. He has a listed clean and jerk of 166.
He's got the strength.
Hand checks are so
they're kind of strong. There's something in the genes over there. Something in the genes. But if you have
big
the
legs,
strength,
that's what's in those genes.
If you have the strength, you need to go for it. And that was Pretty.
Spencer Patchak,
Man, that was
good.
beautiful.
152. One more lifter to go in this heat. That's Sam Stewart out of CrossFit Ireland. We had Filthy 150 kick off this sanctional season about 2 weeks ago. He competed in that event. Just an incredible local event for the Irish community. It's fantastic what they do there, but Sam was competing in the event, had a withdrawal after the final day, but he is here back in competition for the Dubai CrossFit Championship.
Nice, easy, clean.
And he'll get that overhead.
All right. Not too bad. You can see a little bend in the elbows there, just a touch of a bend. Would have liked to see him to go just a touch lower, but great first lift. It's
142, good for Sam Stewart. Your event number 4 for the individual men, the same as the women, a 1-rep max clean and jerk. This is the only event of the day that they've had or will have. Now, Lefteris has 144 on his nameplate. Now, we didn't get to see what his first lift was. Now, again, we said he's coming in with the highest listed clean and jerk total at 180 kilos, and now he's just sitting at 144.
What is happening here? You know what? I don't understand. Unless there is an injury that we aren't hearing about, why would you go so light? It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Hey, Bill, don't insult me by saying that's so light. I can hear you.
I'm going to say that. I'm going to say it. If you're going to list 400 pounds as your 1-rep max, I mean, unless that was like back in his old lifting days. It's like me saying, my bench back in my college days was, 360.
That could be. And obviously
it's
what
not
they
that
list,
now.
Who knows when it was or what they did and when they did it. I think the one question mark we have is that he does so well in the qualifiers and these other events, but once you put him on the big stage, it doesn't just seem to translate. And we know the ability's there. It's not like he's hiding behind fake numbers because we see the videos. We see the ability. It's there.
It's on the stage.
But it's that disconnect.
Can you do it on the stage? And that's what seems to be missing. That's what really seems to be missing. And you can be a very, very fit person, but if you can't compete, then you're never really going to be able to say, I am one of those guys. If he wants to be one of those guys, he's got to do it here in front of everybody else.
144 on the bar. Now, the good thing is that if he already has his ticket to the games as he was in the top 20 and a national champion, these events are the most important thing for him to do to get competition ready for the big stage that is the CrossFit Games.
Well, then if that's the case, I would expect you to throw a little bit more caution to the wind. Why run so conservative if you're going to be doing something? If this is where you're going to be gaining your experience, then gain your experience. You're not going to gain experience by being super cautious. That's not going to be your win.
Evan Morris out of Australia. He got 151 as his first attempt. Has bumped up to 161. Now his listed max is 170.
Oh, wow, that was pretty. What the heck? You see him just grip and rip that right off the ground? I loved it.
Now, that is one of the heaviest listed clean and jerks that we have across the field. And one of those you want to look up into, maybe get into that top 3 position in this event because it pays pretty well to get in the top 3 in an event here at the Dubai CrossFit Championship.
Yes, it does.
146 on the bar for Dylan Martin. Clean is good. Jerk is good. 146 is good for Dylan Martin. Now I'm curious to see what Alexander Caron puts on the bar. 151. He was the head driver of that struggle bus. Now he got it. But I thought he was like playing the game of what joint can we dislocate first as he was trying to lock that bar out over his head.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say that was the first round jitters. That's what that one was.
So you got 151, 156 is on the bar.
Oh, drive your head through. Okay, so arms were locked out. We could get real technical talking about his foot and where his hip was going and all that, but did you see where his head was? He was looking up at the bar. He's behind the bar. Got to put that head down, drive yourself through and under that bar. That was a made lift. He should have had it.
So 156 is no
he
good.
doesn't even go for another attempt.
I'd say it's a good idea.
He had that. He had that one.
Live to find another round. Caron is still credited with 151. McGrander is up next. Now, he had a successful lift on his first attempt, 143 for his second.
Oh, geez. I don't know if I'd go for the re-rack technique. Just let the thing come to the ground.
That'll be a no lift for McGrander as we move to Alex Gatulis, who hit 140. Now going for 145.
Man, good lift off the ground. No problem getting that. Oh! Again, same issue. Just not getting his head underneath that bar. You got to be able to have that bar stacked up over your shoulders, and with your head looking behind like that, it's just not going to happen. But I like how easy the lift, that first lift off the ground is, and that clean. Nice.
Now you can get an attempt at the lift as long as they lift the bar before the 30-second time limit is done. Catulis missed 145. He's still credited with 140 from his first lift. Spencer Panchek on his second attempt.
Oh.
Not quite as clean as his first one. Just a little off balance on the jerk. Now he has 152 already in the bank from his first attempt. Looks like he's going to sit back and try it again for his third and final one. All athletes will have 3 total attempts, 30 seconds per lift. As Sam Stewart has put 147 on the bar, he's increased that by 5 kilos. He got 142 on the first round. And he'll be your last lifter to go for the second wave. Again, this is just heat number 1 of 3 for men's individual event number 4. I wasn't able to lock out 147. He had it up, but again, we've seen this a lot. It's just a little bit out in front for a lot of these misses for these men. Give it another shot.
You go. There we go. That's nice. Now, what I liked about that is he didn't seem to get rushed. All the athletes, if they start right towards the end of that time frame, it's like they rush getting their jerk because they think they have to hurry up and do it. Take your time. Make it count. You already started, so you're good.
2 rounds done. 1 left to go. We'll have 3 attempts each in order. And again, as before, they will make sure that they are adding in the time of the empty lanes. We have only 8 men in this heat competing, so they'll still add in the time lifting as if they were 10. So there's no shortage of time in between the lifts for the heats that aren't full with 10 athletes. Lefteris Theophanidis is credited with 144. He'll move up to 149. So far, your current leader overall is Evan Morris at 161. This is just heat 1 of 3. This is the only individual event for the day. Day number 2 of competition, as they are getting set for their third and final wave of lifts. Theophanitis going for 149. Good lift
nice.
at 149 for Theophanitis.
That was nice. I liked it. Very pretty.
Next up is Evan Morris. Now, he said this is one of the events that he would like to get into the top 3 for this particular event. He had 161. That was a 10-kilo jump up from his 151.
Wow.
Opting for a 5 at 166.
Wow. All right, legs. Holy cow, that was a big front squat. Oh!
Not able to lock it out. Elbows buckling just a little bit. Now he does have time to attempt it again, but that's a heavy lift to just jump back up there and try again at 166.
Yeah.
So Evan will get 161. That is your leader in the clubhouse so far. This is just heat 1 of 3 for men's individual event number 4. 152 for Dylan Martin. He got 146, and that was a good-looking 146.
Gotta get those elbows up. Get that bar on those shoulders.
He still has time to attempt it one more time. This is his third and final lift. So Dylan Martin will get 146. Caron tried 156 on his second attempt. Had a good clean. He actually is having a little bit of trouble. And I say it's more the technique of the jerk. We actually saw him do the same thing at 151 on his first try.
Yeah.
Got it. Nearly killed himself on the jerk.
Cleaned it up on the second lift, though.
Cleaned it up on the 156.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, usually when an athlete bounces themselves out back, is sometimes it's just a little over pull.
Yeah. But yeah, again, you can see I wouldn't say his positioning is real spectacular on that first pull. His feet are a little wide. You can see his knees are kind of buckling in a little bit. Brings his butt up just a touch.
Now, Alex Catoulis, successful at 140. Tried 145 on his second round. Didn't get it and has dropped down to 143. And this is kind of one of those rare events where they are letting them change their weights both up and down.
It's a long hold in that front rack.
Sorry, that was McGrander. So McGrander trying 143. Now Alex Catoulis is coming. I was like, when did he grow a beard in the last round?
He grows fast facial hair.
So he missed. So he missed 145, and he's going to 147.
It's a mental thing.
Good clean for Catoulis. And not wasting any time on the jerk. Just unable to save it. We saw the same thing at 145.
But you know what? Much better fight here. His head was a little bit more in front. But you just cannot push that bar away. Arms locked out are great, but you got to get your head underneath there. Come on, don't rush it. Don't rush it.
Bars off in time.
Plenty of time. Didn't have to rush it.
So Catoulis will get 140. That'll be good for him, as he missed 145 and 147. And here comes Spencer Panchak at 162. The best we've seen this heat is 161, and this is the game strategy that I wanted to see.
Yeah, you got to go for it.
For that, it looks more like the footwork is the issue on the jerk, not being able to get the feet down and solid to receive that bar.
Yeah, once you are set up, you got to drive off that back leg. You can't just let it just kind of flail in the back of there. You have to have a good, strong drive to get yourself planted and drive forward to get your head underneath that bar.
So 162 was the attempt for Spencer Panchek. He'll be credited with 152. And Evan Morris still holding on to the heaviest lift at 161.
There we go. Nice lift. Nice lift.
150 is good for Sam Stewart. And that's a good bounce back lift. 147 was a little tough for him on the first one because he had missed it. So your top lift is going to be Evan Morris at 161. Looked like he had a shot at 166. He's one of the stronger athletes in here. It's about 9 kilos off his best PR. It's hard. Well, it depends on the athlete. It's hard to PR on the floor. PR on the floor. It's really easy to PR out on the competition floor. But what I like to see is what Spencer Panchek did. Is he saw that 161 and try to bump it up to 162.
You have, depending on how you feel. I mean, obviously you can't play the game and not have the cards to play the game. But if you're feeling good, you got to go for it. This is a competitive setting, and it's for someone like Panchek. Yes, you've been to the games, but you're trying to get yourself out of the shadow of your brother, and you try to make a name for yourself. Go big, like attack it, roll the dice. What do you have to lose? Nothing. So if you're in that position, go for it and attack. That's the competitive stage, and that's what that's all about out there.
And hopefully we'll see some of that strategy come into play as we have 2 more heats left to go on the men's individual side. 161, leader in the clubhouse is Evan Morris. We'll see who comes up in Heat 2. Heat 1 down. Heat 2 is up next. 161 by Evan Morris is the heaviest clean and jerk we had in the first heat. We still have 2 more left to go as Heat 2 takes the stage. And as we look at some of the athletes coming in, Jeffrey Adler, based off his maxes and just based off the year that he's had so far, so early, is that's one of those up-and-coming athletes that is kind of grew up with this competition as well, like we saw with Gabriel Magala.
Well, and he has a very unique, a very similar story to someone like Noah Olsen, who has been here to be a volunteer, and hey, one of these days I want to be down here competing. And here he has, just this last year has been unreal, and he is a strong athlete, and I hope that he is on the floor today with the confidence of, I'm going to show you something big. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can do.
Speed of something big. How about lane 8? Tola Marquinho.
He's kind of strong.
He's kind of strong. Coming in with a lifted clean and jerk max at 175. I think he still holds the heaviest snatch in live competition in CrossFit.
Yeah.
I think he wouldn't mind putting that in his back pocket as also having the heaviest clean and jerk in live competition.
Just round out that Olympic lifting setup.
Adler will be in lane number 3. Both of them come in as a listed clean and jerk heavier than what Evan Morris put up at 161. One more athlete when you're looking, look, I see Yonakowski. He's in lane 5. Willie George is sitting 11th overall, tied with Koski. And we're talking about going into the next 2 days of competition, how valuable it is to be in those final heats with the top athletes, those that can push you instead of game plan off of you. So some of these athletes sitting outside the top 10, it's vital that they get themselves in going into the next day.
Yeah.
First lifter will be in lane number 1, Badr Al-Nouri out of the UAE. And he's good at 130. Now in this event, we will have 30 seconds allotted for every athlete to hit their 1 rep max attempt. 15-second transition time. And we'll do 3 full rounds of this. David Sharunk's listed max is 150. As he goes for 145.
And that's aggressive. I mean, we like to see aggressive, but remember, you have 3 attempts. Make your 1 count. You don't want to be too aggressive and miss their first one.
Clean is good for Sharuk.
Oh, that
Jerk
right.
is good.
All right.
Yeah,
that looked easy.
Yeah, he's
I like what you're doing.
Talking earlier to one of our colleagues, Brian Friend, he said he feels like he has an opportunity to PR tonight. And you're talking about what better setting you could ask for than out here. And this is Jeffrey Adler. I tell you what, when you're talking about clean and jerks, this guy put on one of the most dominating performances in the open with that 20.4 that had clean and jerks in it.
He's so strong. I'm hoping that he has that confidence.
And this is what I like to see. 162 on the bar. You know exactly what the best score is to beat. Let me just knock that off in my first lift at 162.
Oh my gosh, that looked easy.
And you're talking about the game within the game. It's not about just your fitness level, but your ability to compete on the floor in the moment.
And for him, this is one of those things that he's learning to build that confidence. And one of the things we talked to him last year about was, hey, do this with the confidence like you're one of these guys. You're supposed to be out here. Act like it. And so that's what's nice to see. Hey, you know what? I know I can do this. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to hit it.
And now to help with that is that, yes, he may be the new kid on the block, but you have veterans that talk very highly of his ability. You know, we're saying open performance may be the best we've ever seen. Pat Vellner was actually the one that really voiced that opinion along with that. So he has a lot of respect from his fellow athletes. 135, good for Jake Berman. Up next is Yonakowski. Now, the last time we saw him in events 2 and 3 that had the track run mixed in with the Concept 2 bike, looked like he was cramping a little bit during that event after winning the swim earlier that morning.
Yeah, and you know, he has such a strange career setup, you know, over the last handful of years. Ups and downs and injuries and little mishaps, and it's like he hasn't been able to find, at least in a long time, a good solid season. I talked to him, yesterday. He said he felt good. At least his pieces felt good. His back is okay. His knees are good. It sucks that he has to deal with the stomach issue, but it's a nice lift there. And again, get something on the board, build that confidence, and go from there.
143, good for Koski. His listed best is 154. Willie Georges going for 150. Now, this is one of your athletes that was on the podium last year, sitting outside of the top 10 after one day of competition.
But again, you have to look at what type of events were there. He's a very good CrossFit athlete, not a specialist athlete, and that's what basically the last 4 events have been. Wow.
Power clean for Willie Georges and a push jerk.
There was a lot of prepping and setup for a movement that he made look way too easy.
It's like, okay, that's what we're going to do. Power clean push jerk.
Just we're going to do that. All right.
Zach George will be next. 145, and you can look at the back side of your screen. 160 is on the bar for Tola.
Hold on. Maybe he's going to make a little change in the background. Oh, maybe not.
145 attempt for Zach George.
Huh.
Okay, that's good. Bill, but like you said, it's like something light. Well, I'm not going to say 145 is light. I'm going to insult myself, but something that they know they can get without question, regardless of.
Yeah, but a power clean and a push jerk versus a squat clean and a split jerk, like they aren't the same lift. I mean, unless you have an issue where you're unable to squat or unable to do that, I can see that. But that just seems like that's way too.
It could be preference too. I mean, I always prefer not to go below parallel. Tola.
Wow.
I tell you what, if you can power clean and push look like that, I'm just going to shut my mic off for the rest of the heat.
What are you doing going with a lift, a movement that's so conservative? Again, I want to see Tola. I want him to see something big. This is his event to go crazy. Well, that was way too light for him to start.
Now,
way too light.
If memory serves me correct, they had a event like this. Did he just add weight in the middle of a set? Oh, my goodness.
Now, he did have those. He had those on either side. I thought he was going to make the. Okay. All right. All right. Now that's a different strategy. That's a different strategy.
That probably is the most big boy move I have ever seen in a CrossFit competition. Let's just wrap this up a little bit. Tola hit 160. I was like, okay, under 162. Not my advice because, play the game. Oh, by the way, I'm going to get 2 lifts in the same time
and
since I can.
Wow.
And increase the weight.
Okay.
Mahmoud Shalana, not trying to overshadow what just happened to you, but good job. I'm going to go back to Tola. Now, I believe Tola, 2 years ago, during a team competition, I think it was Invictus Boston, where they had a clean and jerk max, of which he power cleaned and push jerked 175, so it's 385 pounds. I don't know of another athlete that has actually done that as Fabian Benito Celis.
Oh, he's going to try to do the same setup. All right.
Okay.
Look at Tola setting up those strategies for people.
Tola just screwing up everybody's strategies. That's what he's doing. Clearly, you were not prepared for this, or those would have been next to your bar. Gets off before the 30-second mark, and he'll go for a second attempt, adding some weight. And he'll get it.
Okay. All right.
So I'll give it to you.
Hey.
Give you a little golf clap there, Fabian.
Round of applause, if you will.
Now, this is kind of one of those things is that I've never seen that in my life in a CrossFit competition being done.
Nope.
I wonder if anyone's going to try that in the next 2 heat or the next heat. As Badr Al-Nouri doesn't get 140, just not able to lock it. He could get it overhead, but it just didn't seem like that was the best position for him.
Yeah, he's not getting himself down. He's just not getting himself down. That back leg, that trail leg, is straight. It's locked out. It's not putting him in the best position, so he isn't able to get his body low enough, and he's catching with bent arms. It's forcing him to push the bar up, and he doesn't have the push for it.
So miss at 140. David Sharunk is next. He had 145 in his first lift. Nice, smooth, clean through the middle. I like that.
Yeah.
And then a
That's
good
pretty.
overhead.
Now that would be textbook.
And he says this matches his lifetime best. Again, this is the athlete that said, I am going to PR tonight, or at least I feel like I am. And the way those last two lifts, he's setting himself up very well for a good third and final lift.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Adler, who just saw his 2-kilo lead disappear in 30 seconds from Tola Marquinhos, who got 170. He's moved up to 167. Now his listed coming in is 166. Clean is good for Adler.
Oh, yeah.
And Adler
That
will get a
is
cool
nice.
167, so that should be a personal best.
Nice job.
Solidifying his second place hold behind Tolo Marquinhos. Jake Berman got a successful 135, jumped 9 kilos to 144.
Man, he is
Wow.
like, get this bar off my chest. We'll get it up, we'll get it off,
144.
we'll get started again.
9-kilo jump successful for Jake Berman. Yonakoski got 143. He's bumped up to 149 for his second attempt.
Nice. Great, in great position. I like to see that even when you're dealing with old injuries. Oh, just didn't have that speed getting under the bar. It's not bad. Just didn't have the speed.
Koski looks like he's going to try it one more time within that 30-second span. Good save at 149. See if he can keep the speed for the jerk portion and just not able to get it off his shoulders. So 143 is still good for Koski. Willie Georges has 150, successful from his first attempt. Nice, good power
Wow.
clean and push jerk. 155, good for Willie George. He's on your outside the top 10. Currently tied for 11th with Yonakoski on the leaderboard. Zach George has just made a 10-kilo jump from 145 to 155.
That seems to be the name of the game in this heat. I'm pretty impressed with the weights that are going up. I'm not sure why so many of these athletes are doing it, but I mean, that's going to be your lift, go for it.
Tolo Marquinhos is in his second round, but his third attempt at the clean and jerk. He has a successful 160 and 170.
Now,
There's that.
last time he set weights up, so that was the plan. He knew he was going to do that, but we don't see any other weights here set up. So we're not going to see a second jump. At least I don't think we're going to see a second jump.
We never know. Fabian did it.
That's true.
So
No.
173 on the bar for Tolo Marquinhos. His best coming in was 175.
Oh, my gosh.
Much easier power clean than he had on the 170, and a smooth push overhead. Tola Moraquinho putting on a show here in heat number 2.
That power clean looks so easy. So easy.
Mahmoud Shalan successful at 135, bumping it up to 140. The local athletes here out of the UAE, out of CrossFit Eliath.
Ooh. Just kind of going a little weak in the midline there. Folded him up, popped him out the back.
Not able to find that good middle ground position. One is a little back, one is a little forward at 140. So 135 will still be good for Mahmoud Shalan. As Fabian Benito Celis is up, athlete out of Spain. Your national champion out of the Open. And another successful lift.
I thought he was going to slide those weights on. He had them there all set up and everything.
I'm really glad he didn't. So 156 is good. As we close out your second round of lifts, and we are moving into our third and final round. Now, we went to 145 last time. As we've opted for 140. Good looking clean. He wasn't able to get it overhead last time, but he will this time. 140. Good for Balder Al-Nouri. David Sharon got 150. That was his personal best coming in. Has now added 5 kilos as he is attempting to PR in front of this crowd here in Dubai. Clean is good.
Wow.
And 155.
That is some pretty technique. I like that.
Not the heaviest lifts we've seen, but one of the best technical lifts we've seen. I tell you what, he might have just PR'd by 5 kilos. If we had a 4th round, I wouldn't be surprised if he could PR by another 5. That was just good lifting.
He could.
From David Sharon. Jeffrey Adler, successful at 167. Above his listed PR coming in, as 171 on the bar. And if he can get this overhead, this would be big for Adler, who's sitting in 15th.
Oh, wow. That is a good fight.
Jeff Adler at 171.
Wow. I love the fact that he did not give up on that. You saw his body start to list over to the side, but he fought that. Oh, man. Good confidence builder. I like that lift by Jeff Adler.
That could be big for Adler, who is sitting 5 spots out of the top 10, but now sitting in 2nd overall behind Tola Moraquinho at 171. Berman had got 144 after a 9-kilo jump from first round to second round, this being his 3rd and final attempt. As long as that bar comes off the ground before the 30-second mark. Gets the clean on this attempt. And overhead.
Woo!
Good lift from Jake Berman. 150 on the bar for Jonakoski. Didn't get 149, and it was the jerk that kind of hung him up, but he gets it this time. 150 for Jonakoski.
Nice job. Nice job.
Looked like much more confidence in that rack position for him.
Yeah, he got that bar closer to his throat, so it's sitting back on his shoulders. Makes it much easier to go up overhead.
Willie Georges is next. He's been tied with Jonakoski after 3 events, both sitting in 11th place overall. As we are closing the 3rd and final attempts for these athletes in Heat 2, we still have 1 heat remaining. He came in with a listed 158. Still opting for that power clean.
Oh, hanging it up.
So 155 will stay for Willie Georges. And for now, he's broken the tie between him and Jonakoski, as Koski got 150. He's still tied with Zach George, who is next, who just made a 10-kilo jump to 165. Listed PR of 160.
But this is what you want. You want that last lift to be your attempt at something big. He gets that bar up so high, he could very easily squat underneath that. I just don't know if that's a confidence or a knee issue or what.
Now, what I'm curious to see is that if an athlete can add weight within the 30 seconds, do they have a opportunity to take off weight within the 30 seconds?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you made a 10-kilo jump.
Yeah.
And you made a 5-kilo one between round 1 and round 2.
Yeah.
So maybe give yourself an out.
I'm going to say maybe. Yeah. I mean,
177 is on the bar for Tola Marquinhos. He came in with a 175. From what I know, I think that was one of the heaviest lifts in competition.
Ah, come on. Oh, what? That's it?
Just giving it
All right. All right, hanging it up.
So 173 will be good for Tola Marquinhos. And if you're looking at some of the athletes left in that 3rd and final heat, no one's within 10 kilos of that lift, even as their PR.
Which for him, I think that's a smart move. You know, you go for it. If it feels good, hit it. If not, don't hurt yourself. If you're in that first place, you know no one's going to touch it, you're safe.
Mahmoud Shalan missed 140 in the 2nd round. Has moved up to 141 for his 3rd and final attempt. Up with 141.
Oh, nice fight.
Save.
I love that.
Good save, good lift for Mahmoud Shalan, 141. 1 athlete left to go. Fabian Benito Celis, PR'd in his last attempt at 156, has now moved up to 161.
Oh, yeah.
Able to save it overhead.
Look at that.
So 161, good for Fabian. And we have 2 athletes that have broken the 170 mark between Jeffrey Adler and Tola Marquinhos. And what I would be interested in to see is that anybody takes, I don't know if it's the best page out of the play, but if you're strong enough, you can. But that double lift in the first round.
We have never seen that in any competition. And you know what? I'm surprised we didn't see anyone taking practice lifts during the round either. Unless they told the athletes they couldn't do that, then that's a one time to do it. And if you start light, which we saw Tola do, where we're like, what, 160, what are you doing? To make that jump, that was a great move. Bold move. Great move because you have that strength. I liked it.
And one thing I do like is, a different set of rules that we have here, because usually it's you get 1 lift, You can't go down once you've gone up.
Yeah.
I do like the freedom that they're giving the athletes here because it kind of lets them take more chances, put up more weight when there's not the fear of, well, if I pick this weight and don't get it, then I can't go down from there. So I actually really like the leniency on the strictness of the rules. And when you have the opportunity of a safety net below you that you can go down, usually you're not allowed to. If you hit a certain lift.
Puts a lot of pressure on the athletes when they don't have that ability to do that. If they are free, and I agree with what you're saying 100%, when you have that freedom, it does allow you to risk-free take the chances and go big. I mean, and we saw two of those athletes go big. We saw what Tola did, and then the other person I got to give a shout-out to, Jeffrey Adler.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the way he lifted, the confidence, the technique, the poise of going, you know what? I'm going big, and I'm going to show you guys, one, I need the points, but two, I deserve to be here with the big kids. I would never look at him and be like, you're one of the strong guys.
Right.
But guess what? You're one of the strong guys.
And that's kind of boding to Adler's ability is that he wasn't, Tola is the strong guy.
Yeah.
He's really good at it. And he's got some great skill sets, too. But when you're talking about overall great CrossFitters, Jeffrey Adler has proven to be one of those guys. But to put yourself in the second with 171 behind Tola's 173.
You don't see an engine guy with the strong guys, and we just saw that.
We did. So Jeffrey Adler gets second in this heat at 171, but Tola Marquinhos is the leader in the clubhouse at 173. 2 heats down, 1 final heat left to go. Your top 10 men after the first day of competition coming up next. Heat 3 getting set to take the floor as they will be the final action for day number 2 here at the 2019 Dubai CrossFit Championships. Bill Grundler, Chase Ingram, Nikki Brazier will join us in a little bit. And we've just saw 2 athletes have a battle that we didn't expect that was going to happen between Tola Marquinhos and Jeffrey Adler, who we just heard, I think, PR'd by nearly 15 or 20 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, he PR'd twice in a row. And the fact that he had the confidence, we knew what his numbers were coming in, but the fact that he had that confidence to go through that, he didn't look nervous at all. Insane. That was amazing.
Big numbers these athletes in the final heat are going to try and chase. As your top 10 athletes after 1 day of competition are taking the floor, your current overall leader on the men's side is going to be in lane number 5. Roman Karenikov had a great day number 1. However, he is one of the lowest listed clean and jerks of the entire field. Now, we said the same thing with Sam Briggs. However, for Sam, there were less women in the field, so the damage wasn't going to be as great. For Roman, with more men, it's going to be tough for him with that damage control as Goodmanson gets 150.
And more men also, he doesn't have the cushion that Sam has. He only has a 20-point cushion. Sam had a 35-point cushion, so that is a big difference in this.
Goodmanson, one of your podium finishers from last year's 2018 Dubai CrossFit Championship. Also podium at the CrossFit Games for the second time last year. Good for 150. Oldest Upanix. 136 on the bar. These are your athletes currently sitting in the top 10. They had 3 scored events yesterday. Just one for day number 2 of competition. He'll get it overhead.
There you go. There you go.
And if you guys are just joining us, Tolo Marquinhos holds on to the current heavyweight at 173. But in the first round, in 30 seconds, he hit 160 and 170 in the first one. As Jason Smith has put 152 on the bar for his first attempt, as a listed max of 156.
Oh. Wow, and he looks so solid on that clean, too. Maybe his hands are a little close together. Just wasn't able to get down to that locked arm position, so
I
thought he was going to snap that up overhead, no problem.
Looks worse than it actually was. But you think about, you're putting 152 kilos over your head, just a slight bend in the elbow.
It doesn't take
that thing's
much.
going to come down pretty quick, but a good bounce back for Jason Smith. Smith, one of those athletes that fares very well here at the Dubai CrossFit Championship. He was one of those guys going toe-to-toe with Matt Fraser last year in the max snatch event, where Fraser decided to bump him up 1 kilo to try to get that win. Lazar Jukic, good lift for him, and he's had a good first day of competition. He's never really been in the lead of everything, but he's always been right on the heels of whoever that leader may have been.
Now, I think this is a great position for somewhere like Jukic to be with these guys, shoulder to shoulder, big names. Really test yourself against these big boys.
I tell you what, if that number is right, I think Roman has been sandbagging his updates on the old clean and jerk leaderboard, because his listed coming in was 131, and he's opening up with 151. Now, that gives him me a little bit more breathing room in terms of, is he really?
Well, he had the clean, no problem. That was easy.
And 151 is good for Roman, so we have ourselves a competition.
All right. Just trying to pull the wool over our eyes on the leaderboard. He's one of those guys. Okay.
Sneaky guy. Sneaky guy. Brent Fikowski sitting in second overall, tied with Lazar Jukic coming into this event. He'll open up at 150. Oh, good clean for Fikowski. And what has been fun to see for him is nice, conservative, good opening lift for Fikowski. That his biggest hole used to be the heavy bars.
Yeah.
Now he's a guy that can snatch over 300. You're clean and jerking over 335 pounds.
Well, again, the fact that he was, I was getting a little bit concerned, honestly, when he's trying to hype the crowd. Usually when you're hyping the crowd, it's because you need some extra help. There was a lot of prep into that, a lot of hyping the crowd. The clean was easy. The jerk was easy. That was an easy setup.
An opening lift where you can nail in your technique under heavy load to set yourself up for 2 rounds, which is what you've been asking this entire time.
100%, but why would you look for the crowd to pump you up on that and to be fist bumping afterwards? That seemed like it should have been heavier or was heavier for him than he's leading on, because that looked
could be the pressure of the first lift. And Vellner form, getting a little dig of 1 kilo up on old Brent Fikowski, going for 151.
Well, that's a Canadian love right there. A little Canadian love right there.
Tell you what, that Canadian love is coming from Jeff Adler's 171. Clean good for Pat Vellner. Now, he's no stranger to a heavy clean and jerk on the big stage when he was representing Canada at the Invitational in his home country, and he ended up putting on quite a show in that event.
One of the things that Pat Vellner has always shocked me is how strong he is. And I think that's that gymnastic background. You know, his body is so, he knows how to stack weight on his body so well and be in such great position. He can put so much weight up and lift so much and carry so much weight.
Travis Mayer opening up at 150. Comes in with a lifted max at 159, right about 350 pounds. And 150 is good for Travis Mayer.
Nice lift. And I think like with Travis, you saw a little fist pump there, and I think it's that first lift deal. You know, it's like, let me get this out. Once I get in the competition, I can feel good, but got to get the first one in, feel a little comfortable.
And a lot of that, you know, kind of takes the nerves off. We were alluding to earlier, is like getting that first one out of the way. How am I feeling? How am I going to do in front of the big crowd? Because there's a lot of pressure on these athletes all weekend long. I mean, they're going event to event and event. It's not like we'll see how the weekend goes.
Right.
Every single thing matters just because of the caliber of athletes and the depth of the field that we have here at the Dubai CrossFit Championship. Kyle Bernier out of CrossFit Vitality.
Oh.
And again, you just see that buckle of the elbow, not getting that good. And I think a lot of that comes into play of rushing the stand. You want to see a lot of these kind of stay at the bottom, make sure you've secured that before you try to get up out of the split, out of the hole.
I think he's got a great split. I think he's over splitting. Like he's actually getting too deep. So with the bar actually coming back down, you want to jerk just enough so when that bar is weightless, you catch it weightless.
And we'll make our way back for round number 2. Goodmanson had a good lift at 150. Has moved up to 156.
Wow.
Got to stabilize overhead to secure the lift. And Goodmanson, good for 156.
That was a pretty shallow split on his as well. He's got more in the tank.
Doing the previous heats, we had a 61 in heat 1 as the highest lift, 73 and 71. I think with that 156, he breaks a 4-athlete tie at 155. So got a little spoiled in heat 2 with them 170s, but 156 is right up there with the heaviest lifts we've seen so far. Ubenik's got 136 in his first go-around.
There you go.
Good successful lift for his second one.
I really like to see athletes when they can hang out in there. Give that fight. Don't let that, just because it feels heavy, doesn't feel perfect, doesn't mean you need to drop it right that second. Stay in that fight a little bit.
Now Jason Smith will be up next. He got 152, but it took him 2 tries to do it. Has moved up to 157. Going for a kilo more than Goodmanson just got. Easy with the clean, and what we needed to see in this last one is just that clean jerk, and he's cleaned that up since his last one.
That was better.
And so we'll see what happens between the two as he kind of did the 1 pound or 1 kilo game with Goodmanson at 157. Up next, tied for second place overall with Brent Fikowski, Lazar Jukic out of Serbia. Moved up to 147.
Nice bounce out of the bottom there by Jukic. Whoa, little sidestep.
Good save overhead.
Like
so
that.
147 for Jukic. For his second attempt, he will have one more. Up next, Roman Karenikov, your overall leader. After 1 day of competition, and he came in red hot out of the filthy 150. And he picked up where he left off. He got a third, a second, and a second in yesterday's competition. And we just found out he's a lot stronger than he was leading on coming into this one.
So he was lying to us. He was lying to us.
151 in the bank. Good for that clean for a second attempt. And if he can hold it for his...
All right.
That'll be good for Karenikov.
Okay. It's changing the entire strategies that we were looking at what was happening on this. So that was... And he even had to adjust on that lift as well.
So he's good for 156. Both him and Goodmanson are a kilo behind Jason Smith. He got 157. Fikowski is going up to 157. His best coming in is 157. His first attempt at 150 looked very good.
Nice, easy, clean.
And
Beautiful.
Fikowski.
Now, again, we talk about him being the professor, quote unquote, with all of his pacing and strategies. The other thing that someone like that is going to do is they're so meticulous about their technique, and that was it right there. Picture perfect,
and
beautiful
it's exactly
technique.
what you want to see.
Absolutely.
No one lifted bad with poor technique or good technique, you know. So Fikowski is good. He's tied up with Jason Smith at 157, where you have Goodmanson and Karenikov 1 kilo behind them at 156. Simmons gets a successful lift. And I saw on the placard behind him as Vellner will be coming up. He is also opting for 157. The third highest clean and jerk we've seen. I believe was Spencer Panchek at 162. No, it was 152. So Evan Morris out of Heat 1 still holding on to the third heaviest weight at 161 as Vellner's clean is good at 157. And
there
he will
go.
tie with Fikowski and Goodmanson for the fourth heaviest lift we've seen so far. And as we have two more athletes left to go in this second round with one final wave to go. 56 on the bar for Mayer. If he can hit this, we are going to have one interesting last round. That means we would have 3 athletes at 156, 3 athletes at 157.
And then there's that. It's that Price is Right game. You have to see who really feels good, who's going to go for it, and then who's got the confidence to go for it.
Mayer, good clean at 156.
Come on, hit that again.
Just shot that out a little forward at 156. Still has time for another attempt.
Plenty time.
He definitely has the strength. He's coming in as listed best as 159.
He just needs to make sure he doesn't rush. They're going to have the countdown, but don't feel like you need to rush it. Get your head underneath that bar. It's all right.
So he'll miss 156. I'll be curious to see what he does. I think it'll be kind of based on, because since his advantage is that he's at the end of the line.
He's going to see what everyone's doing, but he also knows that he didn't make those. So now he's going to have to kind of juggle, do I want to try to get in the mix, or do I want to try to overjump one of these guys? But it's going to depend what those other athletes do.
Now, also, yes, and it very does much depend on that. Successful lift, Kyle Bernier. Now, here's what we have coming in. Goodmanson, 156. Jason Smith, 157. Karenikov, 156. Fikowski, 157. Vellner, 157. Mayer just missed 56, but it looked like it was there.
It was there.
And so we're saying play it safe is like, depending on what the other guys do, if they make their next attempt, you're talking about a gamble of 6 or 7 spots on their leaderboard because we got 6 guys tied up right there between 56.
Right, so he needs to make sure, he needs to count these to see how many people he needs to jump, if he needs to make that jump.
160 for Goodmanson is up for the clean and overhead for the jerk.
Wow, he was so fast on that.
And the first chip has fallen for our 6 athletes that are battling it out here in heat number 3. 160 has just been raised. That is good enough for 4th overall unofficially. This being the 3rd heat. We've had 2 heats previous to this. Evan Morris still holds that 1 kilo over Goodmanson at 161. Tolo Marquinhos has the top lift at 173. Adler at 171. Upanix will miss his first attempt. Got the bar off just ahead of that 30-second cap, so he is allowed to finish his attempt. Just not able to get it, so he will still have 136 as we move to Jason Smith, who is one of those athletes in the mix here for Heat 3 at 157. He also opts for 160, and he will get it.
That was his best lift the whole time. Of all 3, that was his best lift.
So 2 athletes tied at 156 for 4th place overall in this event. He tied with Goodmanson, but they're still 1 kilo behind. Evan Morris is 161. Adler's 170 and 173 for Tolo Marquinhos. Jukic got 147 and is bumped up to 150.
Whoa!
Okay.
Almost decided to do a little Nance Kerrigan there and take out some competition. That was a great lift by Jukic. Now, he was a little off balance for sure, but he has that up overhead. It's too bad because I think if he had a little bit more time without the adjustment, he could have made that lift.
I'm really glad he didn't kill Brent Fikowski.
I'm kind of glad he didn't kill Brent,
I
too. I'm
like
sure
that guy.
I'm sure Brent is a little happy about that as well.
Got to have your head on a swivel out there.
Man, seriously.
3rd athlete going for 160, so this is shaking up to be pretty interesting to see what Mayer does, because he's missed at 156, and if Karenikov can't get this, he will actually have 156.
Yep.
Currently, Mayer only has 150, successful. He almost had 156. Karenikov is going to try it one more time. Just not able to get under the bar. So Karenikov has 156. Goodmanson and Smith are at 160. Fikowski has bumped up to 162, knowing that Evan Morris has a 161.
Yep.
This would be a PR attempt for Brent Fikowski. Now is he going to drop the weight and maybe go for 160? His best coming in is 159. Now he doesn't have a lot of time. It just needs to start. Just not enough time.
But that was a good attempt, though. That's the first person we've seen that tried to go down. Now, with all that, we see what Vellner is trying to do. Vellner's kind of making a little switch. I think right now for Travis Mayer, Travis needs to go the 150, the 157.
Well, here's the deal. 156 is good for Karenikov.
Right.
Fikowski is good at 157.
Right.
Depending on what Vellner does, who already has 157, you can see on the right side of the screen, he's loaded to 160 as Elliot Simmons is trying to get through his 3rd and final attempt. If Vellner can get 160, I think that might change some things. But if he can't, I would be curious to see what Mayer does. I know his coach is here, and he should be helping him, and he will be.
I'm sure Max
those guys are all over it.
Tight,
They know exactly what's happened. So we'll see what Vellner does. His attempt at 160. His best coming in was 161.
Ooh.
Not able to get it. He still has another chance.
Oh,
Not able to stand it up. So now we move to Travis Mayer. Vellner tied at 157 with Karenikov. 156 for, Karenikov's 156. And how he dropped a kilo to go to 155.
So he's just trying to clear the people underneath him. He's got to just be trying to solidify that position.
And what it is that he does have 150, but we have a few 51s and 52s out there.
Right.
So it could be getting out of that. We got Carone 51, Panchek 52. Clean is good. Just got to get that bar out overhead, and he won't be able to. So 150 for Mayer.
Wow, that was a low catch. Ooh. Man,
Kyle
he's
Bernier.
one of the largest, deepest splits I've ever seen of any of these athletes.
One more shot. Not able to get it.
Not today.
Not today. And that'll close out all competition here for day number 2. And what a fun and exciting Heat 3 that we had. You know, not many guys are going to match the best 2 lists we saw previously. I mean, they would have had a PR by 10 kilos, 22 pounds. But to see the game within the game between those guys was a lot of fun to watch.
Now, we always talk about that Price is Right game and someone bumping up one, but I have never seen in any one rep max event like this, and I'm talking the games or anywhere else where there's been that much playing and that much strategy and who's going to do it. And I'm not talking about just in the last heat. I mean, on the guys' side, across the board, there was all kinds of playing. Even if we're talking about Roman Karenikov, who told us what his weight was, and then that was not his weight.
And what I liked,
the game is the game.
I think that was because of the ability to go up and down and multiple lists. So I love the freedom it gave the athletes. One of those athletes that were taking advantage of that was Jason Smith, who finished with 157. He's down with Nikki Brazier.
Jason, we saw you miss a couple of attempts and then come back stronger. In fact, it looked like your last lift was your best lift. I think that's something that we've all felt at one point or another, but how were you able to pull through in the end there?
Yeah, I think the first lift didn't go to plan. It was quite a long wait from warm-up onto the floor, so I think I was just a little bit rusty. Weight didn't feel too good, but I think once I got the second lift in, then got heavier, I just tried to compose myself, stay calm, just trust the technique, trust the weightlifting and the training that I do, and it paid off.
Yeah, well, speaking of that training, we saw it pay off today. We saw many different modalities. Yesterday, you were in the water, you were on the bike and running, and still a lot here to come in terms of what you're hoping to see, what you think your strengths would be. What are you hoping still coming down the pipeline here?
I think there's 2 workouts we know and a few that are unknown. But the 2 that are coming up are pretty good for me. I've done a few, obviously practiced them, so feeling good for them. And then I'm kind of in the same boat with everyone else with the unknown events. So looking forward to it.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Congratulations to Jason Smith, PRing at 157. What a place to do it here at the Dubai CrossFit Championship. That'll wrap up individual and team competition for day number 2. Bill, after watching the men go, Roman Karenikov obviously did a lot better than we thought he would, just based off what the numbers he had given us coming in. But that's a good performance for Roman, who's sitting in first. And after 2 days of competition, we're not sure where it's going to shake out completely as the leaderboard finalizes a little bit later. But to step into the weekend after the poor start he had at the Filthy 150 a couple days ago, closed the weekend out 5 for 6 first place finishes. So to be in the top 3, I think I'm really excited to see what Roman does coming up.
Well, we thought it was going to be damage control. I mean, he had that 20-point cushion, and we were thinking that, okay, if he takes last, it'll be bump this down here and bump that down. That is not the case. He lifted great. He's going to be in that position, and you're right. We've been waiting for him to not be so fire hot and then cold, fire hot and then cold. He's put himself into an unbelievable position to podium at this event, if not win it. So, I mean, he's looking spectacular. I have to see what the rest of the stuff, how it plays out, but he looks amazing.
He was first place coming in by about 15 points, and based off what he got, I think he got it somewhere in the vicinity of a top 10 finish for the solo strength event. And if we're talking about just classic CrossFit workouts coming up for the rest of the weekend, this guy is in a good position to, like you said, not just podium, but perhaps win the event. And it's something we've been looking for, or at least forward to, from Roman since he hasn't been able to make the CrossFit Games because of travel issues.
Yep.
This being one of the most densely packed sanctional events in the world to test himself against the best. So it's good to see him out there.
Well, and we need to see that. I think he needs to see that. He's got the reputation. Everyone knows him, knows who he is, but they're waiting to see it on the big stage, not even in any of the smaller sanctional events where you have 3 or 4 good athletes. I mean, we got all kinds of great athletes here. So you're right, shoulder to shoulder going for it. I think it's a great showcase place for him to be, and he's doing just fine right now.
Well, the good news for us is that we have 2 more days to showcase all the talents of these individuals and teams here at the 2019 Dubai CrossFit Championship. Day 1, it was 2 events, but it was a long day. Day 2, 1 event, short day. We have multiple events coming up over the next 2, so stay with us all weekend long as we bring you guys live coverage of the 2019 Dubai CrossFit Championship. For Bill Grundler, Nikki Brazier, I'm Chase Ingham. We'll see you guys tomorrow.